TikTok time to rock. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon to everyone who's watching from all over the world. Your friendly neighborhood philosopher here, D Wood. And you can't see them right now, but with me we've got Jai and DOC. Could you guys talk so I can see if this actually worked when I...
Yeah, what's up? Can you hear us?
I think we can. Okay, so I figured, yeah, turns out I have to actually bring you in from the green room and then take you off the screen, and that's how you come in with sound. So anyway,
All
that's
right.
my great understanding of technology. I learn extremely slowly, but I'll eventually catch on, and then I'll forget it by next week. Um, hey, so you guys wanted to talk about um, the latest in the Dawa Wars. It's never ending. We've got, of course. Daniel Hakikachu and Jake and Fareed and everyone going at each other, blasting away, blasting away. Then we've got, so that's been going on, but now we've got the Sheikh Asim al Hakim fallout, where Sheikh Asim al Hakim, very respected in his community. Sneako asks him a question, Sneako gets rebuked, and then other Dawa clowns see this as their opportunity to jump in and score some points with Sneako and to become more popular. And in Islam, remember, you have to be attacking your rival to reduce his status in order to raise your own. And we were kind of talking right before we went live. I was pointing out how this is what's been going on for years, and this is one of the reasons Islam is currently falling apart. That years ago, and I've talked about this many times as far as like what's been going on with Dawa. Years ago, Muslim organizations would like hand pick Muslim speakers who are going to be most persuasive to a Western audience or the audience that they're trying to reach. And so, you end up with like Ahmed Deedat and Zakir Naik and so on. Then you end up with like Jamal Badawi and Shabir Ali. And so you get these kind of guys, but they're picked. They're picked for people who are going to sound compelling and not sound like crazy or violent or weird or anything. Then you ended up with this younger generation that came in, and they're more like chest thumping. Oh, we're strong. We'll humiliate you and stuff like that. But that resonated with the Muslim community far more than the sort of the representatives who are more compelling to a Western audience. So anyway, basically, when the avalanche of apostasy started, the emphasis in Dawa shifted from being almost completely dedicated to persuading non-Muslims that Islam is true to keep Muslims from leaving Islam. But what's compelling to non-Muslims is very different from what's compelling to the Ummah. And the Ummah, admires like strength and humiliating people and so on. So it shifted to a younger generation, but that younger generation will just eat the older generation alive. And, oh, you don't have any followers on TikTok. You can't talk to me. And so it's just fun. It's just funny to watch that you have all of their like their living legends like Sheikh Asim al Hakim, and they'll just throw him under the bus in a heartbeat. And it's not just some young guy like Sneako who doesn't know any better, and he's just learning or something like that. It's Ali Dawa and Sheikh Uthman with him, like, hey, this is our opportunity to score some points and become even more significant than Sheikh Asim al Hakim. So yeah, these are good times. What do you before we even start, guys? We're gonna go through. Jai and DOC have some video clips that we're gonna go through and some passages. But what's your guys' take on just all of this stuff and the trajectory and the Dawa Wars and all that?
Yeah, we've been keeping up with it, and especially like you mentioned, the Daniel versus Jake versus Fareed versus Adnan Rashid versus all these guys, this big Dawa war that's going on. And what we noticed was that during Ramadan, a couple of them stopped because it's Ramadan, but then literally the day after Ramadan, Fareed publishes a video and he just goes right after, oh, these are all the lies Daniel's told about me. It's just so funny how they think they can, like, hey, we're gonna like fool our God, right? Like they play in the video during Ramadan, they make it during Ramadan, but then like as long as we don't premiere it during Ramadan or show it, we're good. We can't be seen fighting during Ramadan, and so I thought that was hilarious. And I think Jake is doing the same thing. He's got like some other videos premiered or scheduled or live stream scheduled. just happens to be like a day or two after Ramadan, and yeah, it's,
This is, I don't know. It's just funny how, I mean, everyone's worried about Islam. Everyone's, and rightly so, rightly so. It is, um, taking over cities in the UK and things like that. That sort of thing is happening. That is a concern. But as far as Islam actually like taking over and dominating the world, guys, they can't get along on anything. They can't get along on anything. Hey, Dawa Logic. Make a coherent point. Make a coherent point that we will be interested in responding to. Or because you're just saying Christianity is false. You're just saying Christianity is false. Make some important. Okay, now you're getting blocked. Now you're saying cry Christians. Okay, just so everyone knows, if you're just here to distract and run your mouth and insults, not interested. So bye, Dawa Logic. And keep in mind, I literally just said, hey, go ahead and make an actual point,
yeah.
and I would have been fine to interact with it, but. Welcome to Dawa Logic. It's kind of perfect, isn't it? Dawa Logic was his channel name. Dawa Logic says, "Lol, Christianity dumb." That's his argument. That's Dawa Logic. Awesome stuff. All right, so you guys want to jump right into it, or?
Yeah, let's go. It's gonna be fun.
Let's do it.
If it's got Sheikh Assim al-Hakim and Sneako and Ali Dawa and Sheikh Uthman, 100% that it's going to be fun. Absolutely going to be fun. But here we go.
Okay. Everybody get your popcorn out.
Everyone get the popcorn out. Let me give a little background, and you guys can add background too. So if you missed it, ladies and gentlemen, when was this? This was just like a week ago or something like this? This part?
Literally, so Sneako found out about this hadith on the first day of Ramadan, and then he asked Sheikh Assim about it like 2 weeks in.
Yeah.
So yeah, basically it's like 2 weeks ago, a week and a half ago, or something like that.
And it's caused such a big fallout that people are still talking about it. Massive damage to the ummah.
And it's just amazing because, I mean, I posted a short video on it, but it's like, of all the things in the hadith that could bother you, that you might want to ask about, that you might say, hey, I got a problem here. Of all the things, it's Muhammad saying that, the people of Yemen are best or something like, really not the beating women until their skin turns green or any of this stuff. None of that. Not the, the Aisha stuff or none of that. Not Muhammad swearing an oath to his wives to stop having sex with his slave girl, and then Allah said I can go ahead and break that oath and go back to getting with my. None of that is what bothers you. It's Muhammad saying something about the people of Yemen. That is what sent Sneako onto an international journey to ask the great scholar Sheikh Assim al-Hakim about this great difficulty he's struggling with. So this is Sneako's perfectly functioning moral compass right here. Child marriage, fine. Beating women into submission, fine. All this subjugating unbelievers, fine. It's all awesome. Saying something positive about the people of Yemen, that's where he draws the line.
Yeah. So basically, I'm basically assuming that a lot of people are familiar with this clip already. So I edited it just to get like the key points, like the highlights in there that we wanted to focus in on. But the full clip is available for anyone who's interested in seeing the whole thing. I think you and AP went over it, and you guys went over like the whole stream, didn't you? You went.
I don't remember that.
Oh, yeah. Well, you did.
We remember watching you.
So if people want to see that, they can go back and see you guys go over it, like everything in context. But we just got like some highlights here that we want to show you guys, and this is just kind of the background. You guys can see, in case you don't know, this is what happened.
I have a question that I've been struggling with this one ever since I read this hadith, which. Stuff a lot. I have to admit, I didn't like when I read it. That the people of Yemen are the best of people.
Is it authentic? Is it?
That's what I read, yeah.
Then if it's authentic, it's from Allah. No questions asked. No strings attached. If you want to be shaky, this means that you don't have certainty.
But I mean, how are we able to judge how authentic hadith is? Or
You don't. The biggest problem we have with the Westerners from America and from Canada and from Europe is that they don't have their Islam on cemented area. They're so easy to flip. All of a sudden, I have doubts. Why? The Prophet married Aisha when she was 9. Ooh, you're a kafir. If you doubt the Prophet ﷺ for a second, you're a full-fledged kafir. Get the heck out of my house. Don't even think about it. No second chances. Watch out. I don't know why you're there laughing. Guys, I don't know any of you, with all due respect.
Okay.
Oh.
So yeah, that's the background. Sneako learned about this hadith, and he thought he would ask, hey, the big popular YouTube sheikh that's makes everybody laugh. We go to him a lot. Say, hey guys, this is what Islam teaches. This is the real Islam for most things. And he's usually spot on from an Islamic perspective. But I mean, he does lie like all the others. But usually he's got a pretty good track record for being consistent with what Islam teaches. And so they thought that'd be a great idea. Bring Sneako to this guy. Hey, he'll answer your question. And
you know what this reminds me of? It's not going to have the same level of impact, but it's the same dynamic as one of the younger guys coming in, thinking he's going to score some points in a conversation with one of the older generation and clear some things up, and then it just ends in disaster. And then the older guy gets condemned. But it's exactly like the Muhammad Hijab, Sheikh Yasser Qadi holds in the narrative interview where, hey, I've got some concerns. I'll go to an expert on the topic and get some answers for everyone. And the answer you get is like completely disastrous. And everyone starts doubting. And then they throw the older guy under the bus. Just like they threw Sheikh Yasser Qadi under the bus. Now they're throwing Sheikh Assim under the bus. But on that issue, now I know that I know it gets into the issue with the hadith and then the responses and so on. But on this issue of saying you are not allowed to doubt what Muhammad is, I do think it's interesting that he says if it's an authentic hadith, it's from Allah. That's like pretty hardcore. Considering what a screwed up methodology they have and how even Sahih, so-called authentic hadiths that they have contradict each other left and right. And it's like, how can you take them all as from Allah if they're contradicting each other like they do? But as far as him saying, if something is from Muhammad or something is from Allah, you do not get to question it at all. That is straight out of the Quran. That is Surah 4, verse 65, that you have no real faith until you make Muhammad judge in all disputes and have no resistance in yourself against any of Muhammad's decisions and accept them with full submission. You are not a real Muslim if you doubt anything Muhammad has ever said, or if you have any resistance against anything Muhammad has ever said. And so if you say, yeah, I'm not sure that, it's right to have, a child bride or something like that, you're not a real Muslim. So he's actually like warning this younger generation, you don't understand what you're doing here. You think this is like you can just toss out doubts and stuff like this, and hey, I don't think this is true, or I have a doubt about this. You're according to the Quran, you are kuffar if you act like that. You are not real Muslims. And he brings up Muhammad and Aisha, and these guys all bust out laughing. He's like, I don't know why you're laughing. I do not know why you're laughing. I have no idea why you're laughing right now. I'm telling this guy that he is on very, very dangerous ground by saying he doubts Muhammad because of this hadith. I'm completely serious here, and you guys are all laughing like it's a joke because you're a bunch of kids. And anyway, it's like in this whole scenario, he is clearly the one who is most correct from an Islamic perspective, and so that's why it's interesting that it doesn't matter because the younger guys, they're the ones with the following.
Yeah, and the point about what you made about even if it's a Sahih hadith is from Allah, that's based in Islam, like in Surah 53, verse 3. He does not speak of his own, meaning Muhammad. So even if it's not Quran, if he's speaking in a hadith and you're pretty sure it goes back to him, it's coming from their God, their fake God.
It would be interesting to take a clip of that Because I'm just thinking of, wait a minute, you've got all these hadiths that contradict each other on things. And so it's clear there are clearly fabrications and so on, and mistakes and mutations and so on, even among what they regard as authentic hadiths and so on. So anyway, I think you could kind of make fun of their entire methodology going down that road. But yeah, so guys, that's kind of what set it up. Sheikh Assim al-Hakim rebuked Sneako, said you're a kafir if you doubt what Muhammad has said and so on. And then they kind of went on, and Sneako took it and agreed with him, and then Sheikh Assim explained what the hadith meant and so on, and seemed fine until Sneako's feelings were hurt. We didn't realize that Sneako's feelings were hurt, and he had to complain.
Yeah, he realized that the video went viral. I think last time I saw it had like 10 million views or something on X, something like that. 10 million views. And so Sneako, this is his reaction basically after he saw that it went viral. Now, there's a small clip at the beginning of this where he talks about how he thought that the answer was good. And I just wanted to include that because I wanted to show how he was just saying that at the time, but once he saw the aftermath, you see how he quickly changed his mind.
Okay, let's see.
You got a problem with that hadith, huh?
Yeah, but I like the way you explained that Sheikh Assim al-Hakim video went viral everywhere, bro. I think overall I was thinking about that. I was thinking about this a lot. I think overall, that video where I asked him the question about the hadith where it says the people of Yemen are the best people about Arab supremacy, and he said, like, you're a kafir, get out of my house. I think overall, that clip was good for me, bad for him, and bad for the ummah. So overall, it was bad. But it showed that I have sincerity, but I mean, that stuff is irrelevant. Overall, it was not good. I didn't anticipate that, I got to be honest. There's some clips where I could anticipate they were going to be bad. This one, I didn't expect it. Because when I was sitting there, I thought that he was just like kind of hardcore. I did not anticipate that backlash at all. It went everywhere. Everybody's talking about it. Even Tommy Rubenstein tweeted something about it. It just gave a bunch of ammunition to the people that hate Islam. I don't think he answered that question well that I had. I don't think he was taking me seriously. And to be honest, I think he was a little bit arrogant in the way he answered it. And I kind of like that guy. I've been watching his stuff for a while. You guys see me react to his stuff in Discord groups. He's a funny guy. But when people come are asking for genuine questions, you can't respond with, try to clip farm or be humorous, because look at the response that everyone had. Just gave a bunch of ammunition that we didn't need at this time. So the people that hate.
All right, so that's one of Sneako's reactions, and then he sits down with his friends.
Hang on. We can't just breeze right by that.
Oh no.
Yeah.
I mean, how awesome is that? That's Sneako. Yeah, see, he's a bit arrogant. he just called him arrogant. Said he did damage to the ummah with that. Why? Because keep it, and Sheikh Assim, he explained this. He said, if you come to me and you say, hey, I don't doubt this, I accept it, but I don't understand it, could you explain it? He said, totally fine. That's not how Sneako came. He was like, I have doubts about this. I have doubts about this, even though it's authentic. This isn't making sense to me. This isn't making sense of this religion and so on. So he's actually doubting something from Muhammad. And all Sheikh Assim there is doing is a rebuke and telling all these young guys, hey, you young guys, you think you get to go around questioning everything and challenging everything, and I'll just reinterpret this. I'll just say this never happened. I'll just throw out this hadith and so on based on what you like and you don't like. And he warned them, this is why people leave Islam. And if that's already your attitude, you're already a kafir. And so he's giving these guys like a serious warning, and then wondering why they're laughing, because they're a bunch of kids. And then what do you get? You get Sneako, who's been a Muslim for like 5 seconds, calling out the arrogance and damage being done by Sheikh Assim al-Hakim. These are awesome days. But even when we were watching that, it was when Sneako was talking about how, look at the damage this has done. It keeps reminding me of the aftermath of the Holes in the Narrative interview, where they had to deal with all the blowback. And then they realized that it's the exact same thing. Non-Muslims start using it to expose Islam. And then, of course, they have to take it down. But they won't have this opportunity. Much like the Holes in the Narrative interview, it's already spread too far, too fast, and you can't get rid of it now.
Yeah, and remember when he said it's bad for the ummah, but it's good for me? Is he not part of the ummah? He's not very bright, is he?
Yeah, he's trying to say like, hey, it makes me look a little sincere because I can talk about my doubts, but that's not what's important. It's really bad for the ummah.
But he's part of the ummah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that, guess what, Sneako? Get used to that. All this stuff is going to be good for you and getting you attention. So if you want attention, yes, this is all going to be good for you and getting attention. But this whole journey of yours, much like Andrew Tate's, is going to be bad for the ummah.
Yes.
I don't like how he said that the Sheikh was click farming. The Sheikh was absolutely sincere in his and truthful.
Yeah, I don't think he was trolling them at all.
No.
He's being really genuine. Like, he actually believes that stuff. He was even telling them, I don't even know you guys. I don't know. You're in my house laughing at me. I'm giving you serious answers. You're just sitting here giggling and
Yeah,
stuff.
they think he was joking.
Yeah, he was serious. He's like, if you doubt the Prophet, then you're out of Islam.
And no second chance. That means, the sword will be on your neck.
Yeah.
And by the way, think about, because you guys are pointing out like he's dead serious. Think about, from his perspective, what a serious matter this is. You've got the avalanche of apostasy. You have 24% of young Muslims leaving Islam. Why? Because they've somehow gotten the idea that they're allowed to doubt, and they keep going with their doubts, and they keep questioning things, and then soon they're like, we don't believe in this. And he's saying you have to stop that. Islam has to stop that. You don't get to doubt. You don't get to question. That's how you need to understand Islam, so that you don't think you get to question these things. So he's completely serious, and he's looking around at like the damage that's being done by questions. And then Sneako shows up. Hey, we're going to put this all over the place. Hey, you know what? I have a real problem with what Muhammad said here. And he's like, dude, stop it right. Shut it down. Shut this down right. You do not get to talk like that. Why are all you guys laughing? Why do you think it's a laughing matter for people to doubt Muhammad about something like, his relationship with Aisha? What is wrong with you guys? Completely serious and completely correct from an Islamic perspective.
Yeah.
Plus, he had to shut it down. Remember, they were in Saudi. You can't go around Saudi saying, I doubt the Prophet. You know what will happen to you,
Right.
Sneako he's so out of touch. He's in La La Land.
Yeah. That's right.
Absolutely.
Okay, so I don't know if everyone's familiar with these characters here. So this is Adam Salah. I think most people know him. He's a really popular YouTuber, or used to be. This is his cousin Slim. They went from like YouTubing to boxing, and then the guy next to him is the Warner. That's the guy who threw that guy or grabbed the guy over the table, or did that little acting.
Oh, that's him. Oh yeah, that little skit that they all think is real.
Exactly. Yeah.
Look how much weight he gained during Ramadan.
Yeah.
Yeah. Matter of fact, when you were saying Slim, I was like, I don't know, he doesn't look slim anymore.
Yeah, that's not.
No, Slim is the left.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I know. No, even Slim. I was like, I don't know. He looks like he gained.
Oh,
a couple
Slim.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hang on, because this is actually important considering the range of people we have in these clips. But Slim, for anyone who doesn't remember, you guys just pointed out, this is Adam Saleh's partner back in the day. But these were the guys. Yeah, the first time.
They're Yemeni, by the way. That's really important to say.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I didn't know that. That makes even more sense now. Okay. But these guys, the first time I ever heard of these guys, they had like, vlog channels and stuff like that, and would do pranks and stuff like that. But anyway, the first time I ever heard about these guys was that it was coming out that CARE had condemned the NYPD's Islamophobic targeting of Muslims and so on. And it was because these guys had posted a video where they walked down the street just dressed like, just dressed in jeans and so on. And they walk by a police officer, and the police officer doesn't say anything. Then they change clothes and put on full Islamic gear and walk in front of the same police officer. And then the police officer starts harassing them. Hey, what are you guys doing there? Starts asking them questions and so on. So CARE CARE called for an investigation, and we need to get to the bottom of this racism in the NYPD and stuff. Turns out it was totally staged. The NYPD pointed out that's not a police officer. We have no record of this person. That is an actor. And then they had to come out once they were exposed. Because keep in mind, they were just posting this on their channel and stuff. Other people exposed it, and then they had to explain it because it became a news story. So then they had to explain it and said, "Oh yeah, it was a reenactment, but it's something that happens to us every single day." And it's like, wait, you guys are walking around with video cameras all day recording stuff, and this happens to you every day, and you never bother to record it, and you have to actually stage it. So anyway, So there was that, and then there was the fallout on Delta Airlines where
speaking Arabic at the airport,
and it wasn't even that. They were yelling. It came out later. They were yelling "Om Telelet Om," which is some song that had become popular and so on. So they're on the plane and they're deliberately trying to freak people out. They're jumping up out of nowhere and going "Om Telelet Om," and then so the flight attendant says, "Look, you're going to have to go." And then they start recording themselves and they say, "All that happened was I called my mother to tell her I was leaving, and I said some things in Arabic. And just because I said things in Arabic, they're kicking me off the plane." And it became this huge story, and everyone's calling to boycott Delta and so on. But then, and the story spread before the plane ever landed, because when the plane landed, then they had people actually interviewing the people, and they were saying what happened, that these guys jumped up and kept yelling stuff. And that's why they were asked to get off the plane. And it had nothing to do with him making a phone call and saying some Arabic to his mother or something like that. But guess what? The story had already spread. But anyway, I just wanted to point that out because have you noticed that all these guys are compulsive liars? Not Sheikh Assim, as far as I know, but everyone else is like compulsive, chronic liar. Everything is deception. Every step of the way. So anyway, I just want to point out, guys, there's like massive lying every step of the way with these guys, and it never hurts their credibility with their fans ever. And it's amazing to me.
Yeah, I mean, and we're going to ask that same question after we go through what Uthman did, because when is there enough lies for the Muslims to actually care? Anyway, we'll get to that. People will see all the lies Uthman did and, his mistakes that he made. But
you will all be shocked.
It's crazy. And we're just going to ask the question, when will Muslims care that their top guys are always constantly lying?
It is weird. I mean, put it this way. The weird part for me is to constantly be lying, and everything you say is lie, and all your arguments for your religion are based on lies. And you guys have to lie and make things up about how you're the victims in every situation. And yet you claim to be followers of the religion of truth who only speak the truth. And it's like, how does this work in your brain that you are the biggest liars on the planet and claim to follow the religion of truth? The truth does not need an endless supply of lies to defend it.
Yeah. So this is a little bit more background, and like I said, I noted how Adam and his cousin Slim here are Yemeni, and they're the ones who introduced Sneako to this hadith. So that's we're going to get to that now. A little bit more background, then we'll get to the key part with Uthman. So here we go. By the way, sorry for the language from the Warner. I didn't edit it out, but he does use some foul language. So.
Oh man, now we have Christians on a Christian channel, but because it's Ramadan and we got some Dawa guys, we have to give everyone the language warning.
Yes. All right, here we go.
Yeah, shout out to Sheikh Assim. Go. So the reason that whole thing happened is because I talked to Slim after we had Yemeni food. First night of Ramadan, and Slim's like, the Prophet said that people in Yemen are the best people. I'm like, what? And he's like, yeah, there's a hadith, and I looked it up and it was true. I'm like, whoa. And now look what you did, bro.
Yeah, bro. He's like, isn't that racial supremacy, bro? Isn't that racial supremacy? You're like, oh shit, this is backfire.
And then he asked Sheikh Assim about it. And Sheikh Assim was like, get out of my house. Unless he was going to get up and walk
Slim
out.
was like, damn, Sneako left the song because of me.
Oh yeah, you left Islam. Yeah, I tried to click
No, bro, Ali Dawa.
When do you take Shahada? Do you take Shahada with one hand?
No.
I'm not taking shot. Ali Dawa, you don't need to do clickbait saying that I left Islam. It's not necessary.
It was getting views though.
That's all that matters, brother. That's all that matters. Ali Dawa.
Yeah. What is that?
Yeah?
Warner said, "That's all that matters to Ali Dawa was the views."
Yeah.
Oh man.
Oh, but that's
Oh,
funny.
man.
He's like, yeah, Ali Dawa, you don't have to make a clickbait thing about me leaving. But that's funny. It's like even in the Dawa community,
I know.
yeah, Ali Dawa is click. Hold up, little side note. They got all these Sprites. I thought they were boycotting Coke, and that's a Coke product. Was I wrong?
Oh,
I thought they were doing
Um,
something with Coke.
So because they're in Saudi, even McDonald's is not boycotted there because apparently the Saudi McDonald's
they get a cut.
yeah they get
Saudi gets a cut.
yeah, and they say they donate to Gaza or whatever, but
Oh,
yeah,
smart. Oh, by the way, this is interesting from the context because I had no idea why that came up for Sneako. But so if let me see if I got this straight. Muhammad said the people of Yemen are the best. But Yemenis like Slim and Adam Saleh, they actually go around bragging about this. You see, we're the best of people. We're the best ever because Muhammad said that the people are best. And then you've got people like Sneako is like, I'm not Yemeni. This isn't fair that they get to be better. So I'm starting to doubt my religion now. Let me go ask Sheikh Assim. And he's like, you kafir. And it's gotta suck for Sneako because it's kind of too late to get out now. I mean, he can eventually and stuff like this, but it would be hard to get out right now. But I mean, just look at this all around him. It's like endless drama. This is funny.
But I thought it was the Islamophobes that were using the clip, and the one that he mentions is Ali Dawa and his cliques.
yeah,
Nice.
exactly.
Not the Islamophobes.
Yeah,
Well, to be fair, we do think of Ali Dawa as one of the greatest living Christian apologists.
Oh, that's good
That's
point.
true.
Good
He's one
point.
of us. One of us.
Yeah. So it's kind of funny. When you watch some of their streams, they do take these shots at each other, and it's kind of funny. Like they pick up on the same things we do. Like Ali Dawa does a bunch of clickbait. They joke about Sneako leaving Islam, and it's like, yeah, that's so even Muslims, like when they're not being like, oh, Dawa we're strong, whoa, they're like, oh yeah, no, we know this is all just like a joke, and everyone just
Yeah, it shows how cheap their religion is to them. Like, I can't imagine a bunch of Christians joking about apostatizing and leaving Jesus, but they just joke about it.
yeah,
like,
just
it's funny.
Yeah, they're trying to hold it together. But keep in mind, they only try to hold it together just because they know people are watching.
Exactly.
That's the only reason. But you can tell behind the scenes, they want to rip each other apart. All of them.
Oh yeah.
There's no real unity. It's just unity for a show, and they can't even keep that together.
Yeah, exactly. So Sneako finds out about this hadith, and it's kind of interesting because I was really curious as well. I'm like, well, how does Sneako even find out about this hadith? Because it's not a well-known one, and it's not in like any of the 6 books that everyone's familiar with. You have to.
I was wondering that too, because you can find it, but you find it will be listed on like a website and stuff, and it'll say from Ahmed and so on. But so I was wondering, that's another thing I was wondering. 1, you've got all those messed up hadiths, and then 2, how did you like zero in on one that's like not even a very popular common hadith?
Yeah, and so it turns out that like all the Yemenis know about it,
And they show off.
They show off.
Some Yemeni dude showed off in front of him. Like, I couldn't imagine Sneako sitting reading some book. I was like, no, that didn't happen.
Yeah, he just showed off onto him in like a Yemeni restaurant. Sneako was probably like, "Oh man, this food is great." They're like, "Oh yeah, did you know that we're the best of people?
We're superior to you. We're superior to you. Bow down and kiss our feet." And so I guess we can thank Slim and Adam for causing this whole thing. But I was like you guys. I was like, how is Sneako seriously like going this deep into hadiths that he's finding all these like obscure ones that we never hear about and stuff? He's like studying. Is he like really studying behind the scenes? And nope, it's someone was running his mouth and said we're the best.
Exactly.
Awesome. So thank you, Slim, for causing this massive division in the Ummah. You're doing a great job. Not as great as Ali Dawa, but you're doing a bang up job.
Yeah. So speaking of Ali Dawa, yes, he thought that he could, hey, we'll clear the doubt out for you. Okay, you have a doubt. It went viral. He even mentioned, Tommy Robinson, his Twitter page tweeting something about it, or retweeting the video, or reposting the video, or something like that. Obviously, David did a bunch of stuff with it. Other people did a bunch of stuff with it. So they're seeing that's going around the world, and it's becoming viral. And so Ali Dawah was like, hey, I know I'm going to go to Saudi Arabia in the midst of my, Ramadan fundraiser, which you guys all crashed the other day.
That was hilarious.
Oh yeah. I was trying to write. I was still working on my opening statement for the debate, and these guys they just start cracking up laughing and stuff. But oh my goodness, what a funny thing! Hey, let me just tell everyone if they didn't catch it, because you can watch the clip or you can watch the full live stream over on AP's channel, but you can also watch the clip. He posted it separately, but God Logic and John McCrae and IP and AP was everyone else was there. AP was on his live stream, but we're all in a hotel room and stuff like this, and so we jumped on with AP live, and so we had like 2,500 live, and someone pointed out that Ali Dawah had 35 people or something like that watching him live, watching his live stream. And we're trying to figure it out. Like, wait, that's Ali Dawah. He's got over 1 million subscribers. How can only 35 people be watching? And then the Christians there said, hey, why don't you be nice and go over and anyway, they flooded it, and then he ended up with like 250 or something like that watching, but it was Christians going in there, and they took over the chat, and then they had to shut it down and reboot it in members only mode or something like that. But anyway, very awesome, hilarious clip, everyone.
Yeah, that was great. That was really great. That was funny. AP posted that clip. And it's hilarious. But Ali Dawah does that every Ramadan, and so does Muhammad Hijab. They have these big fundraisers, and they raise like hundreds of thousands of pounds, like 250,000 pounds, which is like $300,000 US, something like that. And they make that like every year, and they don't disclose, how much the admin fees are or how much they get paid, but I bet you they get paid a good amount from all those donations. So yeah, in the midst of that, he's like, hey, why don't I go to Saudi Arabia, and I'm going to bring Uthman with me, or Uthman was already there, whatever. Well, I'll meet up with Sneako because he's there, and yeah, let's clear this doubt up, and I'll live stream it.
Wrong.
So the audio is a bit bad. Because even though these guys are making like hundreds of thousands of pounds, they have great camera quality, everything like that, but the microphones are not set up. They don't know what they're doing, so it's unfortunately a little bad audio quality. But you guys should be able to make out what they're saying.
One second.
Sure.
I just realized. So we got this first batch. I was just gonna go through all of this and then get to the super chats, but I realized some of the super chats are commenting on like the Sheikh Assim thing and stuff like that. So. Let's go through these just so we're not getting super chats that are like from way earlier later on. So let's go through this first batch and then we'll jump in there. Let's see.
It's a little hard to read with the background.
You got a darker screen there.
Let me see this one. Nope, that's not.
I can always just let's see. I can always put myself back up on the screen real quick while we go through these.
There you go.
What do Lily J and Kurt Cobain have in common? They both like to have their money. Very rude. Come on. The guy died. The guy died. What's wrong with you? What's up?
Speaking about Lily J, she pulled a reverse Uno card on the Muslims the other day. Did you see that?
Which one?
She did a reverse Uno card. So Muslims are always telling her, why aren't you covered up? Why aren't you covering your beauty? Why aren't you wearing hijab? So apparently on like Eid or something, she actually did wear hijab. And then all the Muslims were commenting, mashallah, sister, you're so beautiful. Mashallah, mashallah. And she's like, hold on a second. You guys are telling me that I need to cover up my beauty, but then when I put it on, you're all saying how beautiful I am. So how does that work?
She said, should I take it back
Should I take it off?
ChatGPT, how does this work? Why do they tell me to cover my beauty, but then say I'm beautiful when I cover up?
So she did like a reverse Uno card, and the Muslims are still recovering from that. They don't know how to really respond. So one guy was like, why don't you just put the niqab on then? Just cover everything.
Oh, yeah. Hey, so was that in a tweet or something like that? I might want to check that out. That's funny.
Yeah, we screenshotted it.
Yeah,
that's why these are just awesome times with like this new generation. And you've got all these guys. But by the way, the thing with like the dynamic with Sheikh Assim on one side, and then Sneako and Ali Dawa and Sheikh Uthman on the other side. Say what you want about Sheikh Asim al-Hakim. His goal is preserving and promoting Islam. That's his goal. And so when he sees everyone doing something dangerous, he like is quick to jump in there and rebuke them. His goal is Islam. These other guys, whether they realize it or not, they're obsessed with popularity and attention and so on. So those two things will always come into conflict, and that's what is going to be going on in the future of Islam. You've got the people who are in it for the attention and so on, and the people who are in it for Islam. Those two groups will be in conflict, and guess what? The people who are in it for attention, those are the guys who are better on social media usually, and so those are the guys who win in the public sphere. Even though, from an Islamic perspective, it's the guys who are focused on Islam, who are right from that perspective. So this is going to keep happening, and what it means is all their serious people and serious scholars are getting thrown under the bus. Hey, you just went into robot mode again. Hey. No, you got to cut out and cut back in. But I know what the issue is, just so you know. I can tell you how to fix that. Let's see. How'd the debate go? I look forward to watching it. One sec. All right, you there? Let's see. Oops.
Okay. Yeah. I figured out the issue too. Yeah.
No, I figured. No, someone said if you what browser did you just use?
Chrome.
Yeah, I think if you use Safari, it won't do that. I think that's what someone told me that.
Okay, I can send you the link. I'll just send you the tweet on.
Or you could just read it if it's a tweet.
Oh, you want to read it?
She says, "So I wore hijab in my last video, and so many Muslim men commented that I look more beautiful."
Oh, more beautiful. They said more beautiful.
Yes, a bunch of Muslim men curved on her. Isn't the whole point of hijab to conceal my beauty? ?
Yeah, that's funny. That's totally funny because I mean she's making an important point. Whereas what they're doing is the same thing they always do. They harass you and heap abuse on you when you don't do what they want. And then when you do what they want, they shower you with praise. And so they think, she did what we want. Now let's praise her and say how beautiful she looks, even more beautiful. But I didn't even know she had the ability to spot inconsistency like that. But apparently there are a few brain cells that actually, I mean, she sounds really dumb in her videos, but I mean, if she is at the end of the day pulling off a massive grift, and that always does take some level of intelligence. So, as far as how the debate went, everyone liked the debates. I'm not sure when we're releasing it. We have to get it first. I was just telling Jai and DOC before we started that I didn't know what kind of crash it was, but it was happening through the debate, and then by the time we got to the discussion. So all the opening statements and rebuttals and stuff like that was awesome. But I started zoning out, and then I totally energy-wise crashed, and I couldn't figure out why. I mean, I was of course sleep deprived, but I'm always sleep deprived in those situations. Almost every time you see me debate, I'm massively sleep deprived. So that's just a way of life. That's normal. So I couldn't figure out why I had complete energy crash. And I was telling Jai and DOC, it feels like if you've ever been in a car and you're driving and you haven't had enough sleep and you're falling asleep at the wheel. That's what it was like. I never had that in a debate. I've had times in debate where I zone people out because they're saying stuff that has nothing to do with the debate and so on, but nothing to where I actually couldn't pay attention. And it wasn't until I got home. I got home last night and I was telling my son, I was like, yeah, I totally crashed energy wise and I couldn't focus. But I said I had a bunch of caffeine right before the debate. So I don't even know what it was. And he says, was it caffeine pills or was it energy drinks? And I said, energy drinks. And he goes, was it the ones with a bunch of sugar in it? And I go, yeah. And I go, oh, I've never had sugar crashes before, but I've been staying off sugar. I don't know if anyone's noticed, but I've been getting way more shredded, but I've been completely avoiding sugar and stuff. But yes, I had a bunch of, and even now, I put creamer in my coffee, but there's no sugar in here. And so anyway, had a big energy crash. With that said, it was still cool and awesome. And he was probably, I mean, he flew across the ocean, so he was probably tired too, but he didn't have that crash the way I did. Anyway, it was still cool. A lot of people, everyone said they loved my opening argument and stuff like that. And he really didn't touch it. But anyway, yeah, people will see that. But it was fun debate. Hung out with Alex a little bit. He seems super cool. He's a bit meaner when he debates, as far as he's like really chill and laid back when you're just talking to him. But anyway, yep, Alex is cool to hang out with.
Does he like go into Muhammad hijab mode or something like in the debates?
Yeah.
The switch turns on. He's like,
hey, turns out he's actually funny, because I still wasn't terribly familiar with him. I've only seen a couple things with him, like mostly like a couple interviews and discussions he did with other people and so on. But yeah, I don't know if I want to give away how he started off, because, well, I don't know. It's just people watching here, and some people have already seen it. But it was actually funny. He gets up and he greets everyone and says, as we say in the UK, Assalamu alaikum. I thought that was hilarious. Yeah. So yeah, guys. Yeah. It'll it'll be fun to watch, guys. And I'm glad I actually got to sort of that first round of Alex's responses to see how someone would react, because I want to put out a video on my arguments, because I think it's weird. All the arguments that people normally give for how Jesus is claiming to be God, I think people are generally missing what I think is like the main way that he and his followers claim that he's God. So I made an argument based on that, and but yeah, you guys will see that in a couple days. So
it'd be cool seeing Anthony respond to that too.
See, that's the thing. He wasn't really responding to it. Let me go ahead and put it this way. When we debated, it seems like he showed up with like prepared responses to arguments for the deity of Christ, and then it wasn't none of it was my argument, and then he just stuck with the arguments that he showed up with. Right? It just he stuck with the points he showed up.
Was script kind of thing.
Yeah, so he's just responding. He's responding to arguments that I wasn't using at all, but he just kept going with them. And so if you're a debater, you'd be watching this and going, "Whoa, he's not responding to what was actually said." But lots of people, they're just listening and thinking that you're responding to what's been said and so on. So, yeah, that was kind of the thing. But like during the discussion period, he's like zeroing in on inconsistencies in Christian theology with the deity of Christ and stuff. And it's just, I don't know. I'm focusing on it. I was focusing on it as like a historical question. Do we have good historical evidence that Jesus was claiming this, where he was coming from a totally different direction and so on. So anyway, but I have to say, looking back, I can't think of anything that he said that actually would undermine the argument that I gave. But anyway, yeah. But I have to say, he was significantly more energetic and focused during the discussion period than I was. So that will be clear. But that's a situation where, yeah, people like Anthony and so on are gonna go through it and wreak havoc on what he said. So my original argument, I say, stands. And was unfazed, and all the points he was pointing out, there are guys who know way more about Christian theology than I do, who will rip a lot of that apart. But anyway, yeah, these are fun times.
Sounds good.
Y'all just don't have that certainty, yo, and you're proud of it. Yeah, you got to have their certainty. That was just funny. Certainty, and no one will ever correct him because he's a respected sheikh. But
yeah,
salam alaikum, everyone. Thank you. My Dawa Logic brother was embarrassing. It's Dawa Troll talking about how his Dawa Logic brother was embarrassing. Why do you think Christians don't know how to answer most questions from Muslims? Because, well, two main reasons. One, Muslims are raised to attack Christian positions. Christians aren't raised to know how to defend against those objections, and they're not raised to criticize Islam. And so that's the main thing, but that's what has to change. And it's just, when people are having these interactions, it's Christians in a Christian majority country, and they just grew up without having to deal with these kinds of objections, and now they are. And so it's a matter of learning how to respond, but that's what we do. We're like,
yep.
Yeah, that's what we're doing here. That's what we're doing on our channels and so on. Sup, y'all? D-Wood, any plans to go back to Dearborn? I don't live far and would love to help in any way I can. I have no problems going back to Dearborn if something's going on, but I don't have any plans for going. How's the group going, David? Thinking of joining? Yes, you still can. You'd have to catch up a little bit. We just read Surah 1 and 2. We're about to start 3. But yeah, we got a couple hundred people involved reading through the entire Quran. Good, awesome, fun time. What do you guys think about that? You think this is going to be big?
Oh yeah, we're really excited about it, and we can't wait to see what everyone has and compare people's lists, and make some content with it. And everyone has got a bunch of different ideas of what they want to do. And yeah, we're learning new things too. We're going through commentaries. We're seeing things we haven't seen before, translating them. And yeah, we can't wait to get everyone together and just share everything. So yeah, we're really excited about it. And yeah, if you guys haven't joined yet, there's still time. We're still early on, chapter 1 and 2. Yeah, definitely join us if you want to.
And it's funny, Chris already posted his video where he goes through Surah 2. So Chris has already put all the verses together that he got out of Surah 2. He actually made like an Excel document and stuff with all the verses in it. I got a separate Quran in Kindle that I'm just using for this. So it just has verses that are relevant to the previous scriptures and so on. But yeah. So we're going to figure out who's posting videos on which topics and so on. And guys, you're going to get again, Chris already posted his, but over the next, I'm also traveling again this weekend, but I think I'm done most of my traveling for the next month. But we're going to be posting new content. In other words, we're about to post a collection of videos from various creators on just what Surah 2 says about the previous scriptures. And then we're going to keep moving on. And by the end, we have an entire course on the Islamic dilemma. Should be good. I was watching Testify video you were in, and Testify said that the true followers of Jesus became uppermost and come from Israel. Can you tell me the source for that, since I'm debating a Muslim? Yeah, go to Surah 3, verse 55, and Surah 61, verse 14. The source is the Quran. Surah 3, verse 55, Surah 61, verse 14. Former friend of Nabil Qureshi here, an Oxford student who reached out the other week. Yes, yeah. I saw your email. I was just I've been doing stuff, so I didn't have time to. I'm backed up on emails, but yeah, I saw that. Resending email about an idea for an effort here in the UK to combat this insanity. Subject will be mission Imam possible. Please confirm receipt. Yeah, I do have your email, but yeah, I'm behind on emails, but I'll get to it. What do you say to Muslims who reject all hadith? What are you guys' thoughts on that?
You're kafir. Get out my house.
There you go. It's exactly correct.
Yeah.
No, you do have Muslims who have a serious position on that. Like lots of Muslims, when they say I reject the hadith, they're not serious. They're just trying to avoid the hadiths that you're using. Yeah. But there is a serious position that is along the lines of saying, and I had it broken down to me by a Quran only Muslim, a serious one, a smart one. And he said, look, if a mailman delivers a letter from the king, you don't sit there and praise the mailman and build all your ideas around the mailman. He's a mailman. He just delivered it for you. The point is the message from the king. And he said, likewise, if Allah gives you a revelation through Muhammad is basically the mailman. What are you doing building your life and your religion around this guy? So that's kind of that. But with that said, you have all kinds of things that seem to be in the Quran that are about building your life around Muhammad and your life and thinking about Muhammad. And where do you get that? The Quran is not the teachings of Muhammad officially. That's Allah. So you have to go to the Hadith to find out. But yeah, if you're ever wondering whether you're dealing with a serious Quran only Muslim, or someone who's just pretending, just ask them something like, "How many times a day do you pray?" Yeah. Or what's Yeah. What's the shahada? Things like that. Because there is a shahada in the Quran. It's just there is no God but Allah. You don't have that stuff about Muhammad. Matter of fact, that same Quran only Muslim, I was like, well, if you're Quran only, do you recite the shahada with Muhammad? And he goes, nah, it's shirk. And I was like, whoa. He just called it shirk, man. He called the shahada shirk. So, yeah, now as far as prayers, guys, you only have 3 prayers listed in the Quran. So if someone says they pray 5 times, they're trying to trick you, because that comes from the hadith.
Another problem for the Quran only Muslims, and I've talked to a bunch of them, and they all have different answers on this. But if you ask them about the Quran and the topic of like Quran preservation, because primarily they're going to use Hafs, but they have no idea why. They just know that that's what they use, and some of them will actually say, no, Hafs has some mistakes, and so some of them will admit that. But if you ask them, like, okay, where's the actual text of the Quran, the way that Muhammad would have said it, where is that found? And some of them will just straight up say, well, we don't have it. We don't actually have it. And so their Islam is completely different to the Islam that you're used to dealing with. But you could still run things like the Islamic dilemma by them. They can't get past that. Child marriage, chapter 65, verse 4, other like major moral problems that are in the Quran, dilemmas that are in the Quran. There are things that you can just talk to any Muslim Quran only, Shia, Sunni, whatever, that they'd have to deal with because it's in the Quran. But yeah, how you got the Quran, that's a big topic for the Quran only Muslims. They all have different answers on that.
Couple more here. Islam is so weak, it's destroyed by Sneako. No, Islam is so weako, it's destroyed by Sneako. And he's not even trying. That's right. He's trying to like support and defend it and be good, and he's just wrecking it. It's awesome. Hi guys, how is Islam going? Do you think I just started application for green card, but am I overreacting? In your opinion, is that what IOIO means? I'm in UK.
Oh, no, I think that's a great idea.
Not overreacting.
Yeah, it's a great idea.
Yeah, wild stuff going on. But yeah, so as far as how is Islam going, Islam is crumbling from within. That doesn't mean there aren't strong pockets of highly populated areas that are trying to take over. So still a concern, but it's incredibly weak. It's just Western nations are being weaker. Islam is incredibly weak and falling apart, and Western nations are just being stupid and falling apart even faster. And so that's why Islam looks strong by comparison. Notes on Surah 1 and 2. I use Critical Quran, the Generous Quran, Sahih International. What Surah 2:285 mean? Previous books, all messengers are equal. Yeah, I have to say, I haven't looked through the commentaries on this or anything, but it just seems to be kind of an inconsistency. We make no distinction, and yet there are all kinds of distinctions between. Take like Jesus. I mean, he's the word of Allah. He's a spirit from Allah. He's the one who's born of a virgin. He's the Messiah. He lives the most miraculous life. He's returning to judge. That seems like quite a bit of distinctions as far as between all the messengers and so on. And the previous books, I do like the passages. I do like teachings where in the Quran where you're not drawing distinctions between the revelations because if a Muslim says the previous scriptures were all corrupted, that would seem to be a pretty big distinction. Corrupt, not corrupt. This is uncorrupt. All the others are corrupt. That would seem to be a huge distinction. So if you're not supposed to be drawing, distinguishing between these different revelations like that, seems like modern Muslims have a bad idea there. But you guys have any thoughts on that? Because you've been reading it too.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, we've read the commentaries. The commentaries just say all the prophets and messengers are equal in terms of importance and message. It's the same message.
And there's a variant reading there.
Yeah, there's a variant reading from his books to his book.
Singular to yeah. So.
In Hamza and Al-Kisai readings.
Yeah.
Interesting. These are fun times.
Yeah.
Sneako has more questions now than answers. And yeah, just think about like everyone pulling him in all these different directions because they all want him on their side because they want access to his followers because they want his followers to be their followers. And so that's why they that's why they rush to the rescue. And that's why Sheikh Assim doesn't care, right? He's not interested in Sneako's followers and so on. He's focused on Islam. All the other guys around Sneako are interested in him to use him for his followers. And so it's kind of sad that he's being used by everyone, but he kind of put himself in that situation. Yep, he'll find out though. You see, Sneako is a weako, kafir. Maybe he needs to shave to look younger for Ali Dawa and Ibn Farouk. Oh, hello, Giant DOC, my favorite Islamophobes.
Thank you.
Hey, thank you. Dawah troll. That's Dawah troll.
Yeah. Sneako doesn't believe in anything. He thinks all religions are the same. Now he will learn the hard way. Yeah, you don't want to. If you're not going to take the religion terribly seriously and you're going to leave it eventually, Islam is not the religion for you because you got a target on your back, especially if you're popular. David, what is your skincare routine? Looking like Diha Al-Kalbi over here. All I use is soap. Soap in the shower. That's my skincare routine. Sneako has a problem. You know, it's funny. Like when I'll travel with John McCrae, he'll be like, "Hey, I forgot my lotion. You got any lotion?" I was like, "I have never used lotion once in my entire life." Anyway, it's interesting. It's more common for black guys to use lotion than white guys, but black guys don't know that about white guys, and they think all guys use lotion and stuff. And so I had this problem when I was locked up. Hey, can I borrow some lotion? Why would I have lotion? And anyway, it's a weird situation. Anyway, cultural differences. Sneako has a problem with Yemenis being chosen because his argument has been that unlike Judaism doesn't have a chosen group, it breaks. Oh, I get it.
Yeah,
I wasn't even thinking about that.
That's it. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. Yeah,
That's his sore point. He doesn't like it.
Yeah.
Okay, so he's been pointing out, oh, these people think they're better than everyone. They think they're chosen and they're special, and Islam is different because we're all the same. And then he got some Yemenis coming up to him. No, Yemenis are the best, bruh.
That's exactly what it is. Yeah.
Oh,
that's exactly what it is.
See, guys, this really helps. All like the context and background to make sense of all this. Because again, I was like, what? Why is he bringing up that hadith? Doesn't make any sense, and so on. But yet now everything makes sense now. This is good. Thank you, Sanning. Not sure if you got my email, but I could use some guidance on pursuing a PhD. What's the best way to get in contact with you? If you sent me an email, I'm not sure which account you used, but go ahead and send that again, and I'll make sure I see it in case it got buried somewhere. No comment there. Hi, David. Do you have a list of all the books that the Quran copied and pasted from? What do you guys think? What do you guys think is a good book on that? I've got my. If you wanted a book, what book would you guys recommend?
I don't know of a book on that, but I mean, we have like slides and presentations where like hundreds of sources, like Talmud says this, or
what do you
this
think
says
of this
that.
one?
Oh, I don't know this. Oh, you know this one.
You guys know this one.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Gabriel said. Yeah. That's a good one.
Yeah. Yeah. This one's big though. It's good as a reference. I don't know what level of research, because it says you're like looking for like a list and so on. So this is a big book. It's good as a reference and so on. But yeah, I'd have to think. No, matter of fact, there's an article. There's an article that was on answering Islam. No, it wasn't. It was a book from years ago.
On Kindle. Let me look it up. I have something on Kindle here. Let me see if I can find it.
Who was it? I'm trying to think. I'm gonna give it to you right now. I have to. I do not remember the name, but I remember way back in the day. I'm talking like 15 years ago. I read it's something like Charles Tisdale, something like that. Search the site. Oh, that is right. I actually got the name right. Okay, so it's called The Original Sources of the Quran by Reverend St. Clair Tisdale. So I will enter this in the chat right now. Here's a link to something. This is good because it's a ton of information, but it's not nearly as long as like the other book I just showed you right there. You can actually just sit down and read it, and they've got awesome sources. So I just sent that to you. In the chat. So you guys, anything else you guys think of on that?
Yeah, I mean, I just know there's tons of material on that. Like, you know, the books and articles you're recommending are great, but I just know of like slides and other presentations people have done that just cover this in depth. So even if you just have it on YouTube, like, you know, videos like Quran plagiarism or something like that, you'll find a bunch of videos on that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I have a video that I posted like a couple months ago. It was 5 times Muhammad copied the New Testament. And so that's an example of passages that teachings, stories that Muhammad got by listening to Christians who were telling him stuff from the New Testament and so on. But yeah, Muhammad is they called him the ear for a reason, and it even says it because he believes everything he hears.
Yeah,
hey, I'm Christian. Hey, I'm Christian and grew up with my 2 Shia Iraqi friends, and I'm slowly trying to teach them the gospel and the flaws in Islam. Any suggestions? Hang on. Christian grew up with 2 Shia Iraqi friends, and I'm slowly trying to teach them the gospel and the flaws in Islam. Any suggestions?
I believe the Shia actually believe the Quran is corrupt. Like, we don't have the original Quran. Maybe that might be a way in.
Yeah. Usually when it comes to friends, like, you know, these are your friends, there's a lot of different angles and approaches you can take. one of them is just simply asking them questions as opposed to like debating them, and just, hey, there's a source that says this, and I heard something about the Quran that says, hey, there's like child marriage or something in the Quran, chapter 65, verse 4. Well, what do your scholars say about that? Or like, what have you heard about that? And they're probably going to be like denying it at first. It's like, no. Well, hey, look into it. Let's talk about it. And that will kind of like dismantle Islam for them. But then preaching the gospel, there's many different ways you can do that with a Muslim. You can go to like Bible prophecy and say like, hey, look, there's these amazing prophecies like Isaiah 53, Psalm 22, things like that predict exactly what Jesus was going to do before he came, and then he did exactly what the prophet said he would do. And take a look into that and let me know what you think. There's also things that you can parallel from Islam. You can say, hey, the Quran calls Jesus the Word of God. What do you think that means? And kind of just kind of make discussions like that. Once with a friend, doesn't always have to be like a heated like yelling at each other kind of thing. Like some of the discussions that when we get like people, Muslims who call in shows, a lot of them just end up yelling and stuff like that. But when it's with your friend, you can be a little bit more like it's usually a little bit more calmer. Yeah.
Mm. And the only thing I would add, FX Merlin, is learn the Islamic dilemma well. That works with anyone who believes in the Quran. So, I mean, if you really wanted to go into depth into Shia Islam, you can grab the sources like Al-Kafi and so on, learn their hadiths and so on. But if you're going to do anything, listen to what Jai just pointed out as far as asking questions and so on about these various issues and trying to get them to think and trying to get more information in their heads. But definitely need to learn the Islamic dilemma. So be watching for the content we put out, because we're going to pay attention to the content we put out, and you will be an expert in the topic very soon. My college has a center where I can go to learn about Islam, reaching Muslims. I'm planning on stopping by due to your videos inspiring me to reach them. That is awesome. It's good stuff. That's what needs to happen. Brother, I have doubts. Sheikh Awesome. What doubts, man? What kind of man are you anyway? That's basically correct. David Wood revealed in a DNA test that he's part black. That's why his skin don't crack. That's weird. I didn't even know I had great skin or anything. But I'm finding out today I have skin that that's making everyone else jealous. So that's good to know.
Yeah, you don't even use cream.
No lotion. And the soap I use, whatever's on sale. It's Irish Spring, Safeguard, the hard stuff, ladies and gentlemen, the hard stuff.
And your
Is it true you're part black?
Your DNA test says you're part black?
It came up as 1%. I have like some ancestor from Uganda or something like that. I just thought the only reason I mentioned it one day was because the Hebrew Israelites believe that not one particular group, the GMS. They believe that I'm a Hebrew Israelite. They believe they can detect it in various ways. If you're really one of the black Hebrew Israelites and you actually go back. See, you have some that believe that, ultimately I have this black Israelite ancestor. And so I am officially one of them. But, there was so much, there were so many white people along the way that I now look white. But they believe that your true nature can be revealed in certain ways. And so it's kind of a funny situation. So anyway, they told me that before I had my DNA test. And I got the DNA test and it says, nope, you got a black ancestor. Like, oh, I can tell them they're right and go stand in line with them and break it out.
What's funny though is when you see the Hebrew Israelites interacting with like African migrants and stuff, like people that are actually from like, let's say Somalia or Uganda itself or Nigeria, they'll treat them like they don't have a chance to like so you think just because they're all black skinned, they're like, oh, you guys are good, you're in, but they're like, no, these guys they're Africans, they're Hamites, they're not actually from Shem. So they don't have a chance, just like a white person doesn't have a chance, like so.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so they treat Africans just like they treat Europeans.
That's true. Let's see. Just been watching how Muhammad copied off the Legends of the Jews book and Quran verse 27:18. Islam as well. Yep, 27. That's the ants. The story of the ants and these awesome talking ants. Let's see, Governor. Hey, David, will you be coming to South Africa? I'd be happy to go to South Africa, but I have no plans to go there anytime. Czech Republic, kids walk to school safely, but more Muslims are arriving. Locals don't know Islam well. I've seen them harass girls when I confront them. Problem, they flee, still minority here. Well,
yeah. That's how they start, and then they get,
Yeah, you're talking about. Yeah, and you're talking Czech Republic, but that's kind of this. It's kind of the exact same story everywhere, isn't it? Mm-hmm. Hi, David. Loving the dilemma groups. Do you think you won the debate? Yes, in terms of my argument was not defeated. In terms of perception, people will notice. I mean, I think people who are like watching the opening statements and rebuttals and so on, if you're at all paying attention, I think it's pretty clear that he didn't have a good response to my argument. As far as the discussion period, he just look massively stronger. One, he's already like a better conversationalist than I am. So even if we were at 100%, he would probably still be stronger than me in like a discussion. He's really good at that. I've seen him just like shred even his fellow atheists and stuff like that if they disagree with him.
Really?
But yeah, I did have a kind of energy crash, and so I don't even know what I looked like on there, but I just know how my thinking was. So I'm assuming I came across as like really low energy and so on. But anyway, guys, it'll be out soon. Everyone can check it out. And yep, I'll be interested in feedback on the actual argument. Last one here. Are you gonna go Quranic or actual chronological order on your project so abrogations will make sense? Well, we're not really focused on abrogation. We're focused on just passages that talk about the previous scriptures. We're just going directly through the Quran as the surahs are laid out. However, I am interested at some point in then taking all the verses that have to do with the previous scriptures and putting them in chronological order as to the revelation to see if anything emerges. Because I can't think of anything that would stand out because I've never put them all in order to see if there's any like change in perspective over time on the previous scriptures or something like that, or if anything emerges once they're put into order. So yeah, I don't know, but that's all stuff we'll be finding out as we go, and that's why we're doing it. That's why we're doing it, because we'll be able to come up with new and awesome formulations of the Islamic dilemma, and I guarantee we're going to see all kinds of things that we've missed by going through it and really, really going through every single verse. All right. We ready to get back to this? So this you were pointing out before, and I've seen this clip too. Yeah, the audio is bad here. And Jai pointed out these guys make piles and piles of money, and they just somehow end up with not great audio and stuff. So guys, this is not on our end. The audio's a little garbled for this video.
Yeah. All right. So let's go.
There was a question that you asked.
I can ask the question again.
Please, you can ask the question again.
I probably phrased it incorrectly. So there's a hadith that I read that I've been struggling with comprehending properly and fully believing in, if I'm being honest. And the hadith reads, Prophet Muhammad said, the people of Yemen are the best people. And when I read that, it was conflicting because the reason I became Muslim is because it gets rid of racial supremacy. And there's famous hadith from the Prophet where he says that there's no race that's superior than the other.
Just want to pause there. So you see, that's when Sneako highlights the problem. He says that one of the reasons why he came to Islam was because it defeats racial supremacy. Yeah. So just want to point that out.
We're all created equal. We're judged based off what's in our hearts. So I ask you, Sheikh Uthman, how can there be no racial supremacy within Islam, but also the people of Yemen be the best people?
First thing, alhamdulillah, that's a great question. And alhamdulillah, in Islam...
Hold on. Pause it.
Yeah.
Yeah. You catch that? That's a great question. Great question. Guys, Sheikh Uthman is a total manipulator, right? He's a total manipulator and a grifter. And when they see a situation like this, here's a guy, I'm not talking about Sneako, Sheikh Assim. Here's a chance for me to one-up Sheikh Assim and look better than him when it comes to Sneako and his followers. So keep in mind, you've got Sneako, he's got a ton of followers, and they just saw Sheikh Assim al-Hakim like shut him down and humiliate him. But you've got Sheikh Uthman. No. Islam welcomes questions. It welcomes questions. What a great question. So he's buddying up. He's the good guy. Sheikh Assim is the bad guy. That's what's going on here.
Exactly. Yeah, great question. Okay, here we go. That's his way of saying like, oh, listen to what I'm about to say. Like he fills him with some praise. And here's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking that they knew that they were going to address this topic together. Like this didn't just come up. But watch what Uthman does with the answer here.
When you don't know, go and ask the people of knowledge. So the first thing is the hadith you're referencing, خير الرجال رجال اليمن. This is mentioned in a riwayah that is mentioned by the Imam Ahmad in his Musnad and other ulama. This riwayah, there is a problem in the chain. So this is something we need. This is why everybody should understand some of the ulum of hadith.
Yeah.
The riwayah in Sahih Muslim, it mentions al-iman al-yaman wal-hikmah yamaniyah. Yani that iman is a sifa from the people of Yemen, and wisdom is something that is from Yemen. It does not include this section that you mentioned, that the best men are the men of Yemen.
Okay.
And so, Sa'id ibn Musayyib is a tabi'i.
Okay.
He's the one that reports this from Abu Hurairah. Al-Haythami, one of the early scholars who reported the hadith, said that the rijal are all good except the fact that Sa'id ibn Musayyib never met Abu Hurairah. So there's a break in between those two.
Yeah.
Right? And because the stronger narration, which is in Sahih Bukhari and Muslim, doesn't have that wording, so what is correct is that no doubt the hadith in Sahih Muslim, this is mahfoud. This is what is the correct wording. So what does that mean? That no, we don't say that the best of men are any particular nationality.
Okay, so he's doing a number of things here, made a number of mistakes. I just kind of noted them here, but we're going to get into them more in detail in a bit. But so he's essentially saying that, as is the case with many hadith, there's so many different versions of a particular hadith and how it's worded, and he's saying that that particular wording of the hadith that starts with, the people of Yemen are the best of all people. It goes on, it says, and faith is Yemeni and wisdom is Yemeni and things like that. He's like, there's another version of that hadith that doesn't have that phrase, the people of Yemen are the best of all people. And that appears in, Sahih Muslim and Al-Bukhari. And if you look in those ones, it doesn't include that line. And so actually, if you look at the chain for that hadith that says that the people of Yemen are the best of people, that there's actually a problem there, because the person who Uthman claims is narrating the hadith, which is Abu Hurairah, gets it from someone called Sa'id bin Musayyib, who doesn't actually have a connection to Abu Hurairah. Actually, he's saying like there's a break in the chain. So because there's a break in the chain there, there's a problem there. Let's go to the one in Muslim or the one in Bukhari, which doesn't include that line because it's a stronger chain. So that's what he's arguing here.
So hang on. Just so everyone's on the same page, because they'll need to understand this for moving forward. If he's wrong. So guys, make sure, pay attention right now. If you're zoning out at all, if you're zoning out in any way, you're not going to understand what follows if you do not understand this point. So recap: Sneako asked Sheikh Assim al-Hakim about a hadith in which Muhammad was praising the people of Yemen. Sneako heard this from some Yemeni Muslims who were using it to brag about themselves, but this shook Sneako's confidence in Islam. I didn't understand why until we're actually going through some of the stuff and people pointed some things out, that it's because his confidence in Islam was that there is none of this favoritism, and he was using that to condemn the Jews. And so Islam is different. It doesn't praise one group of people as special beyond all others. And then he finds out, no, Muhammad did that. So that's why it became a big issue. He brought it up to Sheikh Assim al-Hakim. Sheikh Assim al-Hakim said, hey, if you doubt this, you're a kafir. And Sneako gets embarrassed. And then Ali Dawa and Sheikh Uthman realize, hey, this is actually an opportunity for us to one-up Sheikh Assim al-Hakim and to look even better and smarter and more knowledgeable, and then to respond to the hadith. So you've got the hadith, the people of Yemen are best, and so on. Sheikh Uthman ibn Farouk, Sheikh Uthman ibn Farouk, someone they call Sheikh ibn Fibbin, Sheikh ibn Smollett, Sheikh ibn Ketchup, Sheikh ibn what are all the others? Footnote and so on. He's got all these names because
Zina, adultery.
yeah, Sheikh ibn Zin. Yeah, matter of fact, let's just we'll probably need a quick introduction to Sheikh Uthman for anyone who's not familiar with him. But the idea is he's misquoting. So in his response, he's trying to show Sneako, aha, yes, you have no reason to doubt Islam here because there is no problem. And so he misquotes it. He misquotes the verse. He misquotes the hadith. He says that there's a problem with the chain with respect to the version of the hadith that says the people of Yemen are best. There's a problem with the chain of narration, and his explanation for the break in the chain is that Abu Huraira, so if you guys have read the hadith or any of the hadiths, you'll see you see Abu Huraira's name pretty frequently. He's all over the place. But the transmitter was Sayyid bin al-Musayyib, and Sheikh Uthman says this guy never met Abu Huraira, and therefore there's a question of how he would get that information. He didn't actually know him, never met him. Therefore, he doesn't, you can't trust that hadith. And so, Sneako, your doubts should disappear. You can't trust that hadith. There's a break in the chain of transmission. So there's no problem here. It's not something you should go to Sheikh Asim al-Hakim and say, I have doubts about this. There's no reason because there's a break in the chain. And so we shouldn't be using this. We shouldn't be using this as some authoritative claim of Muhammad. In other words, when Sheikh Asim was talking about this, he says, if it's authentic, then it's from Allah. And Sheikh Uthman is saying, we have no reason to think that this is from Allah because there's a break in the chain. We can't trust it. Is that all correct?
Yeah, and that's absolutely correct. And one of his techniques when he's about to lower the defenses of the person he's listening to, just to make them zone out and just accept what he says, is that he letters his speech with Arabic. Now, if you're an Arab person listening, it will hurt your ears what he says because it's grammatically incorrect and it's wrong.
Yeah, we have some slides.
So we have some slides about it. He actually misquotes the verse itself in the Quran, which is, to them, it's like, we're just going to play it.
So yeah.
So this is Surah.
One second though. I promised everyone would give them a brief introduction to Sheikh Uthman. For anyone who's not familiar with Sheikh Uthman ibn Farouk, because it's proving a similar point. We pointed out how you've got Slim and Adam Saleh, and these guys are compulsive liars, like framing people. I mean, think about that. That was Jussie Smollett before Jussie Smollett. They make a fake video, a staged video of a cop harassing them for being Muslims, and then point out that they're being harassed by NYPD. Except the video took off and everyone caught onto it, and then they had to admit, no, it was all staged. But we did it for a reason. Well, you didn't say it was staged when you posted it. You said it was real. And so, but that never hurts their credibility. It's like the Ummah understands that lying is perfectly acceptable to spread Islam or to portray yourselves as victims and so on. But what do we know about Sheikh Uthman?
Well, let's start with the footnote.
Yeah, the footnote. So he is trying to pull the wool over
our
brother's God Logic head. Our brother God Logic asked him, how come only Jesus called the Messiah in Islam?
What does Messiah mean? Like, what does that even mean in Islam?
So he said to him, actually, all the prophets and messengers are called Messiahs in Islam. So God Logic asked him for a source. So he went and typed it in some database and came up with what he thought of was a hadith, but actually was a footnote, and it was a typo.
So let's be clear on that. So he probably went to Google and said, how do you say messiahs in plural in Arabic?
Yeah.
And then he put that on a database, like a library database, and he actually found a hit, but it was a typo and it was in a footnote.
Yeah, so that's the word for messiahs in Arabic is al-musaha. So some modern editor put that, but what he meant to say was a samha, which is a typo. It makes it an opposite of some of the consonants in the word. and he was talking about something completely different. Like he was talking about how the Sharia is samha, which means Sharia is kind,
gentle,
which
yeah.
by the way, the Sharia isn't gentle. You know anything about Sharia. But anyway, he was trying to say the Sharia is gentle, and because he made a typo,
it looked like the word for Messiah is in the plural.
This jahil, ignorant person, thought he was talking about messiahs, and he thought it was a hadith when it wasn't. It was a modern editor
in the footnotes.
Yeah. Okay, hang on. Quick question. So an objection is brought to Sheikh Uthman. Why is Jesus the Messiah and others aren't? And then his response is, no, others are Messiahs. And then so he has to find something to support that. So he must have done some sort of search looking for Messiahs in the sources. And he finds something that he thinks is a hadith, but it's actually a footnote. And it's a spelling mistake. Yeah. So when he goes to show that evidence, that powerful evidence, did he sound completely confident in what he was saying? Like he knew that he was absolutely correct and was very knowledgeable.
Oh, yeah. He was saying to Avery, like, "Oh, don't be nervous. Don't be nervous." Like he thought he had him on the ropes. He thought like it was,
and he was translating the footnote as if it was talking about multiple messiahs.
Yeah, he thought it was a hadith,
which it wasn't. The footnote started, "Dear reader."
Yeah, like "Dear reader."
So I don't know what hadith starts with "Dear reader."
Yeah,
and so he was basically completely wrong.
Yeah,
and was acting like he was completely right, which is basically dawah in a nutshell. So that's how he got the name Sheikh Ibn Footnote. He also has the name Sheikh Ibn Ketchup, where much like Slim and Adam Saleh, he faked something against himself, but he faked a hate crime against himself. He squirted, it wasn't ketchup to be fair, but it was fake blood. As someone who's worked with fake blood and has seen tons of real blood, that was the most obvious fake blood on the planet. And it was clearly sprayed on him from outside and not leaking out from a wound. But he may have actually gotten into a fight with someone. That part looked real, but he claimed that this is Islamophobe and the guy stabbed him and that they're trying to stop the dawah. And then he blamed me and AP for not condemning it, even though we didn't even know about it. So if he had just said that, it would have been hard to prove. But then he kept going on and saying, yes, and I filed a police report and the police have the weapon. And then he keeps posting more and more follow-ups. And yes, they've arrested the guy. Oh, now he's going to court. Oh, he's been convicted. Yeah, he's in prison. Meanwhile, people are contacting the police. They never heard of any of this, have no idea of any sort of report, and no idea that anything's going on. Prosecutors, the courts, no one's ever heard of any of this. Should be obvious that you're dealing with a compulsive liar. So anyway, that's why they call him Sheikh Ibn Smollett, after Jussie Smollett, and Sheikh Ibn Fibbin. But that wasn't...
And the guy converted in prison, by the way.
Yeah, he went and gave him dawah in prison, and he made a whole movie out of it.
The documentary, which he claimed that he made a documentary, and many years ago he said, it's going to be out next year. I'm interviewing police in it. I interview people who were involved, and no one has ever seen this documentary. It doesn't exist. He's actually produced other documentaries since then, like when he got banned from like Trinidad or something like that, or whatever it was. But he's never produced that documentary. And he claims that this guy actually became a Muslim in prison now, or jail or something like that.
And so to anyone else who's watching this, it's obvious you're dealing with a compulsive liar, and he'll just say whatever he needs to say at any given moment, because he knows there's no accountability in the ummah. And as long as you are humiliating the kuffar, it doesn't matter how completely deceptive you're being. You can lie to everyone. They just do not care. But that's not all we know about him. We also know that he has marital counseling services as a great sheikh. And how'd that turn out for one of his friends who needed some marital counseling for his wife?
He did the one thing that as a counselor, if you do it, you get fired. He stole the wife of the person he was counseling.
Yeah. He married these guys together. So there was this lady who was really excited to meet Uthman. She went to Balboa Park, and this guy's like, hey, I do dawah with him. I'm his friend. I can introduce you.
Abu Adnan, that is.
Abu Adnan, they ended up getting married, Islamically married. Uthman was the one who Islamically officiated the marriage.
Yeah, in Al-Ribat Mosque in San Diego.
And then that lady, and she's having problems with Abu Adnan. So who did she go to? The guy that married them. Abu Adnan was like, "Hey, call her up, get her, straighten her out for me."
And she was like, "Can I want to divorce him?" And then he said, "I pronounce you divorced from that husband. Come to my bed."
And then he, so yeah, then he supposedly married her, and yeah, so that's
1 month after a divorce, which is not allowed by any Muslim at all, because he needs 3 months waiting period.
Yeah, that's right.
And so that's why they call him Sheikh Ibn Zina, for sexual sin. And guys, how much? So he's demonstrated with the issue like the footnote. You have two options there. Either he's completely ignorant and yet sounds confident while he's talking, or he's deliberately deceptive but sounds confident while talking. So he's either ignorant of what he's talking about, or he's deliberately deceptive. Then you've got faking a hate crime against himself. Then you've got his marital counseling services, which someone sends you his wife for some counseling. You just bang the wife and take her. It doesn't matter Islamic law. And here you have him.
Then you got his other wife. His other wife.
Yeah. And oh yeah. Oh yeah. Why don't you give people the quick rundown there?
Sheikh Ibn 434.
Yeah.
So his first wife,
Sheikh
the
Ibn Tate.
original-
Sheikh Ibn Tate.
Ibn Tate. Yeah, it
Yes.
definitely sounded very Tate when we were reading the report.
Yeah, it sounded yeah, exactly what they did. But yeah, so this first wife allegedly filed a restraining order, some court order against him for.
Yeah. No, she definitely did that, but we're alleging what she claimed.
Yeah,
her
because we don't
testimony. Yeah, her testimony is that. Well, yeah, you go.
She was smashed against the wall. She had some object smashed against her head by her husband. She was driven out the house, running. There was lots of
Weapons and
weapons pointed at her, and she was threatened with the weapons being fired at her. Threatened to have her children removed from her, and some sexual violence against her as well.
And that's Abu Adnan who actually exposed that. And he, those
Oh,
are
that's how you guys got that?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I was wondering how would you? I mean, how did they
He made
find out
a
about
whole
it?
website. Abu Adnan made a whole website from scratch, calling it SheikhUthman.com, and he
Wow.
put all that stuff on it.
Yeah.
Okay,
so
that's
this
just kind of
is-
funny. That's kind of funny
Yeah.
right there.
So you go to the San Diego courts or whatever, and apparently if you do like a search for his name, which is not his YouTube name, like his legal name, and you get this report. So what Abu Adnan did was he ordered the report and he just published the whole thing on his website.
Yeah, and it includes like his name, Sheikh Uthman's name, details, address, everything. He doxes
Yeah,
everything.
you can't deny it's him. It's definitely him.
And what's funny is, like, if I heard that, I'd be like, that's kind of messed up, taking someone's paperwork and just posting it everywhere. But it's like, the dude just took your wife and banged her and then called you a liar, and then he's trying to intimidate you into keeping your mouth shut about it. Be like, yeah, okay, gloves are off at that point. So yeah, that's then you have it was something about him choking his wife during sex and so on. It's interesting, like that. That's one of the parallels with Tate, that you have to be beating your women into submission and stuff, and that's Tate found the right religion for him. But it's interesting. The most recent thing about Tate, where he beat the woman here in the U.S. and was choking her, is she said in what she filed, she said after being with him for a while, she thinks he can't be aroused unless he's abusing someone while it's happening. And so anyway, that just sounds like what you guys covered from Sheikh Uthman. It just sounds like these guys have some serious problems. They have to be degrading and abusing women and so on. Or yeah. So anyway, this is wild stuff. But this is, guys, again, the takeaway here. All this stuff is known. It's all publicly available now. And none of it bothers Sheikh Uthman's fans even slightly. They do not care. He could commit adultery with 10 different women every single day for the rest of his life. They would not care as long as he is defending Islam. And this is why grifters see this as a golden opportunity. Islam is the Ummah is the biggest wide open field for grifters ever. And that's why you got this guy. I mean, just look at the lineup of grifters you got on the screen right now. Not even counting like Lily J and everyone else. These are that's what happens. That's what happens
Definitely
when
top
grifters.
3.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. So now we've got our introduction to Sheikh Sheikh Uthman.
Yeah. I want to say as well. You pointed this out that this is like you said this is like an opportunity for them to kind of get back at Sheikh Asim al-Hakim. Why? Because one of the reasons Ali Dawah actually has beef with him is because he does this podcast called The Bitter Truth, and it's kind of controversial in the Muslim world because you have men and women sitting in the same room together. So that's called intermingling.
The free mixing.
Right? Yeah, free mixing, intermingling. And so what Sheikh Asim al-Hakim said was he actually, according to Ali Dawah, he issued a fatwa against him saying that, hey, that's actually completely off limits. That's sinful behavior, and he shouldn't be doing that. So Ali Dawah definitely got his chance to kind of shoot back at the guy now. He's like, look, hey, you want to put a fatwa against me in my show saying that I'm sinful? Well, hey, now I'm going to get you. And I don't know what Uthman's beef with him is, but maybe he just wants to be like the guy known in English as like the Sheikh or something. I don't know. But you can tell they got a lot of beef with each other. A lot of beef.
Awesome.
Yeah, so we want to just kind of go like these are kind of like they're important points, but like especially to Muslims because they take from this guy, and to everyone else too, they should be important, but these aren't as important as the rest. So we're going to go through these kind of fast, but just want to show you guys his inaccuracies with the Arabic language when he's reciting the Quran. And it might sound kind of like, okay, if you're not a Muslim, you're listening to this, you're like, okay, he made it like a mispronunciation here or there. But that's actually like the basics when you're a sheikh in Islam. The basics is what's called tajweed, which is like you have to know how to read the Quran. You have to know how to recite the Quran. That's like ABCs. If you don't know how to do that, you're not a student of knowledge.
No, like they have 5-year-old children going to madrasas, Quran schools, and they can recite the Quran perfect. Like even if they don't understand it, they get the pronunciation correct. Now on the right here we have Al Islam Productions that are Muslims from the UK. They've made a series on his very simple Arabic mistakes, Quran mistakes for this sheikh, and we've got them on the left. They're called Al Islam Production.
Those are 3 of the videos.
Yeah, one word. And they've made lots of videos against them.
One second. Let me read these titles. Uthman Farooq can't recite Wudu verse. Does Mufti Uthman bin Farooq know Surah Al-Fatiha? Wait, he has a problem.
Oh yeah, he even messed up on Al-Fatiha. Yeah, he even messed up on that. Yeah.
Oh wow. Shocking video of Uthman bin Farooq.
And notice that's over an hour long.
And they're all like 2 years ago.
Yeah.
So this is another mistake here. So we're going to play it. I'm going to explain to you what he says wrong.
So we'll let Uthman say it, and then Daughter of Christ will give you the correct pronunciation, the correct verse as it's in the Quran, and we'll explain kind of the errors that he made here. So this is, like I said, kind of the minor, but we're going to lead up into the bigger stuff here. So here it is. One more time.
Okay, he said, يَسْأَلُ أَهْلُ الذِّكْرِ, which means they are asking the people of the reminder. But he also done it grammatically wrong because he said يَسْأَلُ أَهْلُ, which is in the nominative, the word أهل. It basically means they're asking the people of the reminder. So the people of the reminder should be accusative. It should be أهلا. So he said يَسْأَلُ, they are asking. أهل, wrong, should be أهلا, the people of the reminder. The Quran in Surah 16 verse 43 actually said فَاسْأَلُوا أَهْلَ الذِّكْرِ, which means it's the imperative. It says, so ask the people of the reminder. So he changes the verb and it does it also grammatically wrong, even for that change that he made.
So you're saying the difference is it's what's on the screen. He's saying they are asking the people of the reminder, and it should be, so ask the people of the reminder.
Correct.
Yeah, exactly. So he made it into like a plural for like they're asking or they ask. And when it's actually the Quran, the Quran has it, it's like, so you guys ask the people of the reminder. And if you go to the commentaries, by the way, some of them say that's the people of the book.
Yeah, so he's the context is wrong. It's not that anyone should go to scholar to ask. It's you should go to ask the people of the book. And we got it in our
Islamic dilemma.
Yeah.
Wait, one second. So I'm trying to understand the context. So he was saying that in response to. He's telling Sneako, no, it's great to ask questions. Is that how he was using it? So, hey, it's great to ask questions because
the Quran says, and then he gives the verse wrong.
Go ask the people of the book. But actually, he made it as to go ask the people.
Like they are.
So in order to defend that it's great to be asking questions in Islam and we welcome questions, he had to distort the Quran in order to get that result. Because the Quran is not a big fan of questions.
Well, here's the thing, though. So it's saying to ask the people a reminder, but the thing is that he's saying it wrong. Like he's saying like they asked when it should be you ask. Like everyone, you all plural ask.
Mhm.
So the point here is that he just like messed up on a Quran verse, which, like I said, we might, most people would say that okay, just made a minor mistake, but for a sheikh, that's a really big
That's
mistake.
corrupting the Quran.
Yeah,
Wow.
he completely. Yeah,
And it's grammatically incorrect.
yeah, it's messed up.
And
So
contextually-
the Quran has been corrupted
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
by Sheikh
and then
Uthman. Hey, by the way, that'd be a good little video for someone who wants to make it. Sheikh Uthman corrupts the Quran.
yeah, and you can use some of these Al Islam production guys because they have literally hundreds of clips.
Of examples.
Yeah, and that's their point too. They're like, this guy's claiming to be a sheikh, or people promote him as a sheikh, and masters in hadith and all this stuff, and he doesn't even know the Quran like on a basic level. He misquotes it, and we're gonna see even with the hadith as well. And this just shows that he doesn't have proficiency in the Arabic language because he's making grammatical mistakes and making mistakes that someone who knows Arabic would
never make.
And that again, you might think, okay, well, he's not an Arab, he's learning the language, but for a Muslim sheikh, these are inexcusable.
And remember, he had time to prepare for this.
Yeah. So just again, before we get into the main thing, like the meat of it, let's just go over this. He's about to cite the hadith here, so here we go.
خير الرجال رجال اليمن الإيمان اليمان والحكمة يمانية.
So the first one wasn't like a major error. He just kind of like missed a word in it. But the second one mistake he made here.
Yeah, he said al-Iman al-Yaman, which means it was meant to mean is the faith is Yemeni. But he said in Arabic, the faith, the Yemeni.
Yeah.
He said the al, the twice. You can play it again.
Yeah.
Which makes no sense in Arabic or English.
خير الرجال رجال اليمن الإيمان اليمان والحكمة يمانية.
Did you hear that? Two al's together, al-Iman al-Yamani. You never see that in Arabic. The faith, the Yemeni. It should be the faith is Yemeni. So the correct thing is al-Iman, Yaman, without the al be repeated twice.
Yeah, so he did, and he missed a word in the first part. So again, we're just saying like this guy who's supposed to be a scholar, a sheikh, he's making minor mistakes. But let's get into some of the deeper things here. So
one second. I have to run out and check on something real quick. But I'm gonna leave you guys. I'll leave you guys on here, so you guys can just go ahead and break down the point. I'll be back in I'm guessing about 2 minutes, real quick.
Oh yeah, take your time.
Okay.
All right. So yeah. So just to be clear, we want to I guess we'll just kind of repeat these points again. So again, for a Muslim sheikh to miscite the Quran on this level, it's like inexcusable. And that's why you have Muslims, guys, Al Islam Productions and other Muslims have pointed this out as well. They point out, look, guys, this guy, you can't take him seriously. He doesn't even know the Quran. He doesn't know basic Arabic grammar, right?
This is very basic, you guys. Like, not even a 5-year-old Arabic little boy would use the twice. Like, I haven't seen a 5-year-old English boy who says the mum, the dad, or something like that. Like, put the twice, like, back to back. It never happens in any language. And yet, he's pretending to be a sheikh, sat there, talking in Saudi, which is full of Arabs, probably some who are behind the camera, and no one is correcting him.
Yeah.
Like, this is insane.
Yeah, so the form that this is in right now, it doesn't make any sense at all.
Yeah.
So
Should we go to the next one?
Yeah. Well, let's just hear this point one more time. He's about to say like why the hadith is weak, and he says that this guy, one of these scholars, Al-Haythami weakened the hadith. Why? Because he says that two of the people in the chain didn't meet each other, right? They didn't meet each other. So we're going to ask the question, did Al-Haythami actually weaken the chain? And who are the narrators for this hadith? Is it who he's saying?
Okay.
All right, so let's see. So we have it here. This is in the Arabic, and we have a translation on the next slide. But we have Al-Haythami here.
Okay.
And what he says is that actually all the narrators are trustworthy. So here's the translation of it here. Yeah.
Okay, so remember what Uthman said? He said that there was a problem in the chain, so that's why Haythami wasn't good with it. Now Haythami here, the translation, he says it was all good. The added bit that he said, except for the break in the chain, isn't there. you're not going to find it. You're never going to find Haythami saying it
Yeah.
for that hadith.
For those people, you're never going to find him saying that there's a break in the chain because Abu Hurairah didn't know Sa'id bin al-Musayyib.
Yeah.
He never says that. So here's the hadith.
So the hadith says, the Messenger of Allah was presenting horses one day, and someone called Uyayna ibn Hisn. He came and he was with Muhammad. So the Messenger of Allah said to him, so Muhammad showed off to the guy. He said, I am more skilled with horses than you. Okay. So Uyayna said, and I am more skilled with men than you. Which I know it sounds gay, but in the Arabic actually says...
David came back at the perfect time.
Yeah, what did I miss here?
Okay,
I sit back down. It's gay.
We go into the full hadith, and that sounds a bit gay in the beginning.
Yeah. So Muhammad's like, I know I'm more skilled at horses than you are. And he's like, well, I'm more skilled with men than you are.
So I know it sounds gay, but in the Arabic, it actually means that he's more skilled with like being perceptive with the character of a man.
Yeah.
You know,
like he knows men better, right? And so then Muhammad's like,
yeah, because we all know that Muhammad would be the most skilled with men in that way.
He's like, have you seen me in Dahya? Like, come on, man.
So Muhammad has to one up him.
So he tests them. He's like, oh, how is that? How do you know men more than me?
And then he said, the best of men are men who carry their swords upon their shoulders, making their spears rest upon the necks of their horses, wearing cloaks from the people of Najd. So he's saying, basically men who are warriors are the best of men.
And Muhammad's like, you liar!
So Muhammad said, you lie. It's actually Yemeni men that are the best of men. And that's where it comes from.
Yeah, that's where this comes from. Yeah. And
nice.
so, yeah.
Okay, no, just saying nice. So now everyone knows where that comes from.
Yeah, so so he says Al-Haythami gets this hadith from Abu Hurairah. Well, who does he actually get the hadith from?
Actually, the hadith comes from somebody called Amr ibn Abasa. It doesn't come from Abu Hurairah in this version.
In this version. So Al-Haythami never says this comes from Abu Hurairah, and in the chain there's a guy called Sa'id bin al-Musayyib, and by the way, they never met each other, so therefore it's not reliable. It's not a reliable chain. Never says that at all. That's complete fabrication.
All that was made up.
Yes.
All that was made up. That story.
Hang on, going back to you guys pointing out that this had already become an issue. Sheikh Uthman is swooping in to correct Sheikh Asim al-Hakim and show that Sneako has nothing to worry about, but he has time, plenty of time to do his research, and he comes in and he's ready, and you're saying he's completely wrong, and he's not even talking about the correct chain of narrators.
Yeah, exactly.
Not at all. He's mixing it with another chain, which is also sahih. So this one is sahih, and another one is sahih. Sorry, I'm jumping ahead.
Yeah, it's okay. So let's be clear. So he claims that Al-Haythami dismissed this hadith because he said Abu Hurairah is in the chain, and Abu Hurairah supposedly was getting it narrated. Supposedly the guy who was narrating it from Abu Hurairah is Sa'id bin Musayyib, and Sa'id bin Musayyib never met him. He never says that. That's complete fabrication. Now, there's another hadith that's related to this one, and this is in a book about the 40 different hadith about people of Yemen. And so this is
that's the one I've seen. This is the one I've seen right here.
Oh yeah.
Okay. So check this one out, and then there's a little note here that we thought was important to add, because there is something that's weak in this, but it's not what you think. So we'll just read this one now because it's a little bit different story than the other one. But here's
yes, this is from Musnad Ahmad, which Uthman ibn Fibn did mention.
Yeah, he did mention
Musnad Ahmad. Okay, so the hadith says the people of Yemen are on the verge of ascending upon you as if they are clouds. They are the best people on earth. So the man from the Ansar, which are the helpers in Medina, said, "Aren't we, O Messenger of Allah,
what about us?
The best?
What about us?"
Then Muhammad was silent. Then he said again, "Aren't we, Messenger of Allah?" Then Muhammad was silent again. Then he said the third time, "Aren't we, O Messenger of Allah?" Then Muhammad said the third time in a low volume, "Yeah, except you."
Meaning like, hey, you guys are included. You're equal to people of Yemen. But that's actually the weak part.
Guess which part is weak? The except you part.
Yeah.
So the part that Sneako would actually like.
Yeah, exactly.
That's right. So that's not that. So that's in the Arabic there, the illa antum, except you.
Yeah.
So hang on.
Same reference here. Yeah, same reference here.
Oh, just to recap. So Sheikh Uthman was saying that there's a portion of the hadith that's weak, but when you go to the actual hadith, it's a different part that's weak.
Yeah. So the part that would actually, you could
Help
actually,
out.
it would actually help in a sense, is the weak part.
So you see how he mixed up everything,
He mixed up absolutely
all the
everything.
narratives to make it suit him, and it's all lies.
Yeah. And so here's the reference here from Ahmed bin Hanbal again. It's the same exact thing that we showed earlier, and then again the same footnote is there saying like in a secondary narration it's weak, but he says except you. So he's like including the Ansar, saying you guys are included. You're also the best, But
yeah, because he said it in a low volume, so not as many people heard.
Yeah. Okay. Now we have here Imam Ahmed. He narrated the hadith. From who?
From Amr ibn Abasa, not from Abu Huraira or Sa'id ibn Musayyib or any of the names he mentioned.
And did he ever weaken it?
He never weakened it, and he never mentioned any break in the chain.
Okay, so that's what we want to point out. So Imam Ahmed, who he cited, never weakened the hadith, and he never said that it came from Abu Huraira.
And he never mentioned any break in the chain from anyone.
Nor Al-Haythami did he ever mention that it comes from Abu Huraira and that there's a break because Sa'id doesn't know him or whatever, or they didn't meet. And he never weakens it for that. There's a couple different chains he gives, and the one that we were just looking at, he says completely, all the men are authentic and strong. So now he mentioned Sahih Muslim, because remember, he said this is a strong chain. Mm-hmm. So this one's really important because, again, we got to pay attention to this part, because he said that the one that we just showed you guys now is weak because there's a problem in the chain. Well, we just saw there that there was no problem with the chain. But the reason that he says it's a problem with the chain is because Abu Huraira was narrating it from Muhammad, and then this guy called Sa'id was narrating it from Abu Huraira, right? Mm-hmm. And so he's saying, therefore, the chain in Sahih Muslim is stronger because, because that's what he thinks. So let's just recap that one more time.
The riwayah in Sahih Muslim, it mentions al-iman al-yaman wal-hikmah yamaniyah. Yani that iman is a sifa from the people of Yemen, and wisdom is something that is from Yemen.
Okay, so if you go to sunnah.com and you type in the corrected Arabic of what he said, you'll get the identical thing about 3 hits. Okay, Now it's interesting. So let's just ask the question one more time before we narrow in on these, because his point is that the one in Muslim doesn't include that sentence, doesn't include the phrase that says that the best of people are the men of Yemen. He's saying that doesn't appear there. Okay, so why does he tell Sneako that he shouldn't doubt, and why did he say you should reject the hadith? Let's focus on this part one more time. Why should Sneako reject it? Why? What does he say?
This riwayah, there is a problem in the chain. Sa'id ibn Musayyib is a tabi'i. Okay. He's the one that reports this from Abu Huraira. Sa'id ibn Musayyib never met Abu Huraira. So there's a break in between those two, right?
So is that clear? That's why Sneako should reject that hadith, because Abu Huraira supposedly never met Sa'id ibn al-Musayyib, right? That's what he says. And so therefore, because those two are in the chain together, there's a problem with the hadith, right?
Okay. Everyone got that? Everyone got that? So if anyone's new, there is a method of how they come to trust their stories, and it's because they have a reliable list of names. And where'd you get that story from? I got it from so and so. Well, where'd he get it from? Well, he got it from so and so. Well, where he'd get it from? So he got it from so and so. And the idea is to go back to a companion of Muhammad and to have this chain of transmitters. And so you've got on the list of transmitters, you've got Abu Huraira and then the guy who heard it from him. And Sheikh Uthman says, but these two never met, and therefore it's a break. And therefore, Sneako, you have nothing to worry about. You can't trust this hadith. Is that correct?
Exactly. That's exactly what it is. Now, remember how we said that there's about 3 hadith that are in Sahih Muslim that are almost identical to what he said, except in the corrected Arabic. Let's look at those. Let's look at one of them in particular. And let's see the chain. Well, let's read the hadith and see the chain.
Okay, so the hadith says, there came the people of Yemen, they are tender of feelings, meek of hearts. The belief of the Yemenites. The sagety is of that of the Yemenites. So
that's the part he was quoting, or trying to quote in Arabic.
Yeah, the belief is Yemeni and the wisdom is Yemeni.
He said we should trust the one in Sahih Muslim. Let's look at the chain though.
So the chain is
you start in the bottom and then you kind of work
Muhammad, Abu Huraira, and Sa'id ibn Musayyib, the two people that he said
never met,
but they're actually in a Sahih chain here.
hang on.
In the ones you appeal to.
Yeah, guys, everyone catching this. So, the actual hadith that is giving Sneako a problem has a different chain of transmission. Is that correct so far?
Yeah.
Okay. The actual hadith that is bothering Sneako has a sahih chain of transmission, but then when Sheikh Uthman responds to it, he says, No. There's actually a break in the chain. You can't trust it because in the chain, you've got Abu Huraira and Sa'id bin al-Musayyib is getting it from him. These guys never met, so you can't trust the hadith, even though that's not the chain in the hadith that Sneako had a problem with. But you do find that actual chain, and it's the one he's saying that people should trust, the version in Sahih Muslim. So this is the version in Sahih Muslim, and it has the chain that he says you can't trust. And so he's ignoring the one that he's ignoring the chain. He's ignoring the chain in the actual hadith that Sneako has a problem with. And he's saying, no, you have to go to the version in Sahih Muslim that you can trust. And it's the one that's got the chain that he says you can't trust. And it's Sahih. It's in Sahih Muslim.
That's correct.
Exactly.
It's in the gray, by the way.
They don't usually translate that part.
Yeah, in the gray Arabic. Because there's so many names, they just skip straight to the hadith.
Yeah, but that's on sunnah.com. You guys can see it there. And
it's going to get even wilder.
And this is when we're going to have to ask you guys, like, what is going on here? Because we don't actually know, because Uthman does like a complete, you'll see what happens. So we have a Sayuti here. He makes a note and he says that the most correct chain of transmission for Abu Hurairah actually includes
Sa'id ibn
Musayyib. So far from it being weak, he's actually the most authentic one to narrate from Abu Hurairah, actually.
Yeah, so actually, whenever you see Sa'id ibn Musayyib and Abu Hurairah in one chain, it's the best authentic narration.
Hang on. Whoa.
Yeah.
You're saying that Sheikh Uthman, who has a degree in hadith methodology, he's saying that you can't trust hadiths that are narrated by this guy because he never met Abu Hurairah. But that's what Sheikh Uthman is saying. You can't trust hadiths that are narrated from this guy because he never actually met Abu Hurairah. Therefore, those hadiths would be weak. And you're pointing out that this is the guy who's actually the best narrator from Abu Hurairah.
Exactly.
That's why he made it in Sahih Muslim.
Exactly. And
isn't that crazy? Isn't that crazy? I mean, it seems like, you're throwing a Muslim under the bus here. You're throwing the most respected transmitter from Abu Hurairah. You're throwing him under the bus just to deal with the objection of some guy in his 20s.
Yeah.
Wow. That's how he treats Islam, guys. That's how he treats Islam. There's a person who has a doubt. Let me throw a respected Muslim under the bus.
Yeah, and so as you guys are probably getting, that this is actually not true, that they actually did meet each other, like Sa'id and Abu Hurairah, and they must have met. And let's just, like David said, let's just emphasize on this point one more time. Who is Uthman? What does he have degrees in?
I graduated from the Islamic University of Islamabad with a master's focused in hadith.
Okay, so master's focused in hadith, and one of the most prolific transmitters of hadith is Abu Hurairah. And one of Abu Hurairah's best transmitters of hadith is Sa'id bin al-Musayyib. Now, here's where things go really crazy. But let's listen one more time. Listen to this.
This riwayah, there is a problem in the chain. Sa'id ibn Musayyib is a tabi'i.
Okay.
He's the one that reports this from Abu Hurairah. Sa'id ibn Musayyib never met Abu Hurairah.
Never met.
So there's a break in between those two.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay, he never met him. All right. Now, interestingly, Uthman has actually a video where he's giving a talk on Sa'id bin al-Musayyib, And let's see what he says in this talk.
That talk was from last year.
Yeah, let me one more time. There's the date. There you go.
January.
One second. January 2024, so a little over a year ago.
Yep. Now watch what he says here. Remember what he told Sneako.
Uh-huh.
What did he tell Sneako?
They never met.
They never met. Now watch who Saeed really is.
سعيد بن المسيب. That is correct. بارك الله فيك عمر. اللهم بارك لك. Allah increase you in your barakah. Sa'id ibn Musayyib, one of the reasons that he is very well acquainted with ahadith and reporting is because of who he married. He married the daughter of Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu.
He did what? He married the daughter of Abu Hurairah. Uthman said to Sneako they never met.
Wait, so this is Abu Hurairah's son-in-law.
Son-in-law.
Yeah.
And wait. So and there's this additional issue that when Sheikh Uthman is saying, "Oh, you can't trust Saeed bin al-Musayyib. You can't trust that guy. He never met Abu Hurairah. So Sneako, you no longer have to worry." And you guys are pointing out, "Hey, this guy's got some problems here." You'd have to wonder, is he ignorant? Did he make a mistake? Did he look up something? Did he do a bad job looking something up? So was he just ignorant and he made a mistake and, he skipped that day of class at his hadith school? Or is he just flat out lying? He knows that Saeed al-Musayyib is the best transmitter from Abu Hurairah. He knows that, but he's lying to Sneako just to come out on top and impress all Sneako's fans and get one up on Sheikh Asim al-Hakim. And so what you just showed here is he knows exactly who Saeed bin al-Musayyib is. He knows exactly how he's connected to Abu Hurairah, which means that he was just flat out lying to Sneako's face to get to do away with his little doubt that he's having and impress his fans. He's just flat out lying when he's talking to Sneako. Is that correct?
Yeah, exactly. And he even goes into a little bit more detail, but it's exactly what it is. Here we go. Let's.
Now, imagine when you have a father-in-law like Abu Hurairah. Abu Hurairah is the one that narrated the most ahadith of anybody from the Sahaba radiallahu.
The most
hadith. And that's his father-in-law. So when he was somebody who was always around such a person, then he would memorize those ahadith from his father-in-law and from his wife and from the other Sahaba, and he became one of the most narrators of hadith amongst the tabi'un, because his father-in-law was the greatest narrator of hadith from the Sahaba radiallahu.
So to Sneako, they never met.
Yeah.
Kind of reminds me of Yasser Qadi a little bit, like when you talk about the preservation of the Quran, when he's got like a Muslim audience and he has like a non-Muslim audience.
Mm-hmm.
Complete opposite
He
worlds.
said they were always around each other.
Yeah.
Everyone, did you just catch that? So this is Sheikh Uthman when he's talking to a group of Muslims who are not doubting something. And he says, Saeed here is the guy you can trust most when it comes to these hadiths from Abu Hurairah, because he was his son-in-law. He's hearing it from the man himself. That's why Saeed bin al-Musayyib is as good as gold. That's the guy you can trust. If you want to know anything from Abu Hurairah, go to Saeed bin al-Musayyib. This is the golden child. This is the one to learn everything from Abu Hurairah. And then Sneako says, I have a doubt about this hadith. And then Sheikh Uthman gives the wrong chain and then throws Saeed bin al-Musayyib under the bus and says, you cannot trust this guy with hadiths from Abu Hurairah. He doesn't know anything because he never even met the guy. He never even met Abu Hurairah, even though he knows this guy is Abu Hurairah's son-in-law. And he says in this video, he was around him all the time. That's why you can trust him. In which case, that means 100% indisputable, grade A lie he told to Sneako. He lied right to him and threw a Muslim that he regards as completely trustworthy under the bus and made him unreliable just to do away with one of Sneako's doubts.
Yeah, exactly.
My goodness, this is Dawa, ladies and gentlemen, lying to people.
Yeah, exactly. And there's other works that we saw when we were researching this and trying to get sources, and they basically all said the same thing, that he is the most authoritative go-to on the hadith of Abu Hurairah because they're family, like it's a son-in-law.
Yeah, he didn't need to go to a book. He went to the guy's house.
Exactly.
His family to him, and that man met Muhammad, Abu Hurairah.
So
The chain is as good as gold. It's like the sun.
yeah,
When you see Abu Hurairah and Sayyid Musayyib together, so if the fact that he said there's a break because that they never met is like another blasphemy in Muslim terms, because it's almost as bad as him mispronouncing the Quran. Like, this is terrible.
yeah.
And it's like I thought it was bad enough that he's throwing Sheikh Asim al-Hakim under the bus when Asim al-Hakim was completely correct. And then Sheikh Uthman has to misrepresent the Quran to pretend that Sneako's totally fine having doubts about things Muhammad said when he's not. Sheikh Asim was correct, but Sheikh Uthman. So I was like, wow, it's messed up that these guys are throwing Sheikh Asim al-Hakim under the bus. But now they're throwing Abu Hurairah's son-in-law under the bus.
Yeah, and
Ouch.
it's just so wild because like this guy's got a master's in hadith, and like he said, this is one of the most prolific, hadith narrators of Muhammad, Abu Hurairah, the most prolific companion who narrates hadith, according to Uthman. That's what he said there, and he said, and so that guy who's like the most prolific narrator of hadith, his best guy is Saeed, and then to Sneako, he's like, oh, they never met each other.
And remember, he had time to check it.
Yeah.
He came prepared. They knew what happened with Sheikh Asim. He came with the story. Like, I don't accept any Muslim defense of this. Like, oh, he just made a mistake. Like, it's not just one mistake. Everything, when we were watching it, our mouths were open. Everything he said was wrong.
Yeah.
What he said about Haythami was wrong. What he said about the chain being broken was wrong. What he said about it not being Sahih was wrong. What he said about Sahih Muslim was wrong. What he said about the different versions was wrong. Even the weak part that he thought was weak,
It wasn't that part.
it wasn't that part, and it actually helps the supremacy argument.
Yeah.
So he showed up prepared to lie. He knew what the objection was. He showed up prepared to lie, and then combined that with like not even knowing how to quote the verse and so on.
Yeah, it just shows
And
you.
his Arabic was terrible.
Yeah, it just shows you that this guy, he has no problems lying. So not only did he, completely lie about the chain, and that chain is authentic according to many, many, many Muslim scholars. We're actually looking up today, like all the different scholars, and we were like debating about, do we include this, do we include that? But there's just so many of them that say it's authentic. It's like crazy. We saw like a scholar from Al-Azhar Hadith department says it's authentic Hadith, saying that the people of Yemen are the best of people. Many different scholars of Hadith saying that. So for Uthman to weaken it and say Al-Haythami, oh yeah, he's like, for him to put in Al-Haythami's mouth that Abu Hurairah never met Sa'id bin al-Musayyab is crazy. That's actually crazy.
So he actually just attributed something to Al-Haythami that he never said. And remember, if it was a weak chain, Sheikh Asim would have said it was weak. Remember what Sheikh Asim said: you don't say if hadith is weak. We tell you. The scholars tell you.
Wow. And so Sheikh Asim was entirely correct about what Islam teaches.
Yep.
Sneako didn't like it, and so a liar swoops in to tell Sneako what he wants to hear, and it's complete deception.
Yeah.
One thing for Sheikh Asim, sorry.
Oh, yeah, no, I just want to point out, and you could point all of this out, it will not bother Sheikh Uthman's fans even slightly. If you weren't bothered by the footnote, if you weren't bothered by faking a hate crime against himself, if you weren't bothered by the adultery with his friend's wife, if you weren't bothered by choking and beating his wife and so on, if you weren't bothered by any of that, you're really going to be bothered by him lying. It's what he does, and you know he does it, and you don't care because it's fine in your religion.
Yeah, exactly. And we've been seeing some of the responses on people on X, the Muslims by the way, Muslims have been putting this out too. I was actually surprised that some Muslims have been making some threads, and they were saying very similar things to what we're saying here. Sometimes they would add details or take away details, but basically the same thing, like saying, hey guys, don't take your knowledge from him. And Muslims were coming back against the Muslims like, hey, what are you guys doing? What are you guys doing going against Uthman publicly? Like,
don't cause division. Don't cause division. Yeah. If he lies, keep your mouth shut. It's what we do. Of course our guys lie. It's what they do. And our job is to keep our mouths shut when they lie. You're going to ruin it. You're going to ruin it. People are going to pick up on the fact that he's a liar, and we can't have that. Wow.
I mean, one thing I like about Sheikh Asim is that he would never fabricate a chain or pretend something is a hadith when it isn't, or say a hadith is weak when it's strong. He just said, so what?
Or squirt ketchup all over himself and say that he got stabbed by the kuffar.
He has dignity. He thinks it's the truth, and he says, yeah, take it.
I wonder if he's going to respond to this, because this was all directed towards him. So I wonder if he's ever going to respond to like Uthman, kind of coming at him like this and just completely fabricating everything, like all the mistakes he made. I wonder if he'll respond to it. I'm not sure if he will, but I wonder if he will.
Yeah, he might not even really be paying attention, because he's talking to all those guys. They're like, I don't know who any of you guys are. I have no idea.
That's true.
I don't know who any of you guys are. But maybe people could push it and start posting videos. Sheikh Uthman humiliates Sheikh Asim al-Hakim, corrects him, exposes his ignorance of hadith, and so on. Might need some pressure on him to get him to respond.
Yeah, and so if you guys want to see like a really in-depth expose of the racism in Islam, we did this with David not too long ago on B.Apologetics. 4 weeks ago or so, and it's titled Racism in Islam, and it's on B.Apologetics, and you guys will see a bunch of sources there that if you're talking to a Muslim like Sneako, who's bothered by racial supremacy, Arab supremacy, Yemeni supremacy, whatever it is in Islam, go to that video, get the sources there, and you guys will have tons and tons of ammunition to show that Islam is an Arab supremacist religion. And even within the Arabs, there's a hierarchy that they have. And we pointed that out as well. And then there's tons of racism as well that we get into as well. So,
And this is a chance for you guys to see how much Muslims lie. Imagine if he's lying on record on the internet, where you can actually check. This knowledge, by the way, is available online if you check. Imagine how much they lie offline when there's no recording. Like, he's acting like he's in the middle of the desert, like we can't check. And it's such blatant lies that are very easy. Like, even in English, if you write Sa'id al-Musayyib and Abu Huraira, you get like
the Wikipedia page will tell
English
you.
pages will tell you they're related, they're in-laws.
Yeah.
And he's just saying they're never met.
Oh, so you're pointing out, like, if this is what he'll say in a video and live when he's prepared, how much do you think this guy lies when the cameras aren't rolling? And I pointed out in the past, one of the problems with people like Tate and so on is manipulators will manipulate their fans, but your fans end up conditioning you in return. In other words, a manipulator, let's say, tells a bunch of lies in order to deceive his followers, but the followers believe all the lies and they love him and cheer him on for it, which convinces him that it's totally fine and that it works and that it's the way to get what you want. So the manipulator and the liar get programmed that they can get away with this, and they never get exposed for it and never get called out for it because their fans will defend them. So that's an issue with like someone like Andrew Tate. He can come out and say, yes, this is what I did. Yes, this is how I treated it. Yes, this is how I got all these, this is how I duped all these girls into becoming my webcam girls and stuff like this. And I get them to fall in love with me. And then this is the step-by-step process he uses to dupe them into doing sex work for him, which once he finds out that's one of the definitions of trafficking, he suddenly changes to, no, I never did any of that. It's all just made up. It's a matrix attack. And his fans, when he was originally explaining how he traffics these girls, his fans cheer for him. Yes, he's so strong. He's so based. Then when he turns around and says, nope, it's all a lie. The matrix is attacking me. They go, yes, it's a matrix attack. What does that do to him? What that does to him is I can say anything right now. Tomorrow I can come back, say the exact opposite. Then I can say something else. Then I can say the exact opposite. And my fans will always cheer me no matter what. it takes away any concept of like consequences for your actions. It takes away any concept of accountability. You come to believe you can just lie as much as you want, and because you always get away with it. And your fans don't care. What do you care if someone else is calling you out, as long as your fans, your community, doesn't care at all? So that's where Sheikh Uthman is. He knows he can go out and commit adultery right in front of his fans. They do not care. He can lie. He can make up anything he wants. His fans do not care. And so the result is what we see now. He can just make things up anytime he wants. Zero consequences in his community, because his community will cheer for him no matter what. And if another Muslim points it out, they'll say, hey, what are you doing? You're causing division in the Ummah when we need unity. This is Ummah. This is Islam, man.
Yeah. And so one of the contrasts we kind of wanted to make with this it's found in the Bible in John chapter 20, and a lot of people are familiar with the Apostle Thomas and doubting Thomas and this story here. And what we wanted to kind of take away for people like Sneako, who Sneako has these doubts, and instead of the Sheikh saying, hey, get out of my house, you're no second chances for you. You can't have any doubts at all in Islam. Islam does actually require you to have full, you can't question at all. Actually, the Quran literally tells you, chapter 5, verse 101, 102.
No questions.
Don't ask questions. If you do, people before you asked questions and they left the faith. So we want to show you how the Lord Jesus handles doubt and amongst even one of the apostles. And so if you want, you guys can read the whole story here. But the summary is that Thomas, he didn't get to witness the risen Jesus the first time when the others did. And so they told him about it, look, we saw Jesus. And he's like, well, unless I see his hands and I see the nail marks and, I'm and put my fingers in there and I touch, I'm not going to believe. Put hands into his sides, I'm not going to believe. So the Lord appears and he says, hey, take your finger, reach in. You have doubts? Here, I have answers. And then Thomas, when his doubts are answered, he goes, my Lord and my God. And the Lord Jesus blesses him. Blessed are you. And also, blessed are those who have not seen and yet have believed. So, the point here is that when you have doubts and you get answers, it will strengthen your faith in Christianity. You'll find the answers. You'll know, this is strength. I mean, a lot of Christians can testify. They might have had questions. They might have doubts. When they found the answers out, they will tell you that their faith was strengthened, that they were able to, had a deeper foundation, and they were able to answer and help other people with those same doubts. In Islam, though, you're not encouraged to talk about your doubts. You're not encouraged to tell people about your doubts. You're discouraged from it, and you're actually told not to doubt. Don't question anything at all. Just have this blind faith. But the Lord actually, the Lord will encounter you. It says in Isaiah, come, let us reason together. Isaiah chapter 1, verse 18, let us reason together. So in Christianity, your questions are welcomed. You can reason, you can have discussions. And when you get those answers, it will, just like Thomas, it strengthened my Lord and my God. It will strengthen your faith. And, blessed are you. Yeah. So.
And I mean, I think that's connected to Islam wanting to silence all criticism and always having to so if you're in Pakistan, you'll be silenced by being tossed in prison for blasphemy or sentenced to death for blasphemy, or just by a mob forming and beating you to death if you criticize Muhammad or the Quran. In Western nations, it'll be a bit different. People still try to make blasphemy laws in the West, but it's constantly complaining about Islamophobia and so on anytime anyone criticizes Islam in any way. But there's always this constant ongoing effort to silence criticism. But I mean, think about how that is connected to not asking questions, not questioning Islam. If I told you, hey, there's this religion out here, and it does nothing but lie to get people to convert, and then once they've converted, says, if you ask questions, we're going to call you an apostate and you'll be on a death sentence list. But yeah, we're going to lie to get you in, and then once you're in, you're not allowed to question any idiotic thing that we made up. You're not allowed to question the lies anymore. If you saw something like that, and then we have to basically silence the entire world from criticizing this. We have to go country by country, silencing all criticism. That doesn't sound like a strong, confident belief that you've got the evidence on your side. That sounds like a deep insecurity that you have no defense of what your claim is. And that's why you have to lie to get people to convert. You have to make up things, perfect preservation of the Quran, scientific miracles, all that nonsense. You have to lie to get people in. And then once they're in, you have to use threats and intimidation to keep them there. And you compare that with, again, you go through the story of doubting Thomas. What ultimately solves Thomas's doubts? It's in Christianity, we've got a risen Lord who appeared to people. And in other words, we've got something where we can say, this is how we know it's true. And if you're having doubts, why don't you check this out? And in Islam, it's, oh, you're having doubts? Shut up. You can't doubt. You must have certainty. You have to have the certainty. You just have to have the certainty. And think about this. Sneako, what are you talking about? I didn't know anything. You guys told me a bunch of stuff and got me to convert. And by the way, the stuff isn't even true. But now I have questions because I'm finding out that what I thought was good about Islam, it doesn't have this favoritism towards certain groups. It actually has that. And so I'm bothered by it because that's one of the things I thought made Islam true. And I'm finding out it's not true. What's going on here? And what do? Sheikh Assim, how dare you kafir? You don't get to doubt. No doubts. You must have certainty. And then Sheikh Uthman gives the alternative, which is to just lie to him. So it's either shut up or lie. You silence the person or you lied to him. But under no circumstances do you just openly tell the truth and invite questions. This is pathetic. This is pathetic, man. This is just pathetic.
And by the way, another one of them losers, Dawah losers, Muslim Lantern, came out and doubled down and said, I haven't studied, but yeah, it's weak.
Yeah.
And by the way, Muslim Lantern and Uthman ibn Fibin are both in some Muslim Avengers League.
The Dawah League.
The Dawah League that basically meant to resolve their differences.
Because of people like Daniel, they're like, hey, we don't want anything like this to happen ever again between Daniel and Jake. So what we're going to do is we're going to form under the Sheikh, and he's going to be like our leader. So they're all in like this Dawah League too.
Yeah, and the top Sheikh is called Uthman al-Khamis. The deal was, if anything you differ on, come to this Khamis guy and he'll sort it. So they didn't go to him. They should have gone to him because he would have straightened them out with the chain and everything.
Yeah, exactly.
These are the times we're in, guys. It's you've got the older generation, which still takes Islam really seriously and takes our obligations seriously, and a younger generation of grifters and manipulators and con artists who see Islam as their way to mass manipulate tons of people, and so they will not hesitate to make things up as they go along. Awesome times, and we get to be the ones who expose it. Good times, good time.
That's
All
right.
Want to go through these last super chats here?
Yeah.
Yes.
Let's do it.
What type of soap do you think Mike Winger uses? Caress. There's one called Caress, or some version of Dove. One of those. Got to be one of those. I'm selling Diha's lotion to help Ali Dawah made with the stuff I should. What's wrong with you people, man? People are very rude. People are very rude and insensitive. Joshua says, can I make Surah 2:231 my number 13 Islamic dilemma example as Surah 2:226 to 243 topically on marriage? Is Surah 2:231 also about marriage revealed in the book and wisdom? I'd have to take a closer look to that. So you do have that section. It's about marriage and divorce and so on. And then, so I guess the idea of what, I'm not entirely clear on what you're saying, but 2:231 refers to the book and the wisdom, I think. And so I think what you're asking is, since it's claiming that this stuff, I guess you're saying is, hey, there's all this stuff in here, and it's claiming that this stuff is in the book. So if it's not in the book, you can make a version of the Islamic dilemma about that. I guess that's what you're saying. Yeah, I'd have to take a. You guys have any thoughts on this? I'm not sure.
What I know, I know that there's, yeah. Well, I mean, not on this particular, but just like in general, that there are going to be like a whole bunch of new arguments or variations of the Islamic dilemma because of going through these kind of things. So that type of thinking, yeah, definitely encourage it, because we're, there's going to be a whole bunch of different ways to present the Islamic dilemma to Muslims, and
we don't have that one on our list actually. We might look into it because it was talking about marriage.
Yeah.
And yeah, so we'd have to, but yes, along the way, so we'll have like the big Islamic dilemma, but along the way we'll have like more specific examples of dilemmas and so on. But yep, we'll be checking that out. David, which of these three? Oh, I guess that was Sheikh Uthman, Ali Dawah, and Sneako. David, which of these three do you think will gain the most weight during this Ramadan's intermittent feasting? Ali Dawah and Sneako seem to have pretty high metabolisms. They're skinny guys, so I would guess Sheikh Uthman. Uthman will drown Sneako in a tube of ketchup if he leaves Islam. There you go. Yes, you'll be humiliated. Ali Dawah to Sneako. Blink twice if you're in distress. Oh, yeah, because he said that to his wife. Blink twice if you're in distress. Yeah. Guys, seriously, isn't it amazing? I mean, they lied to him to get him to convert to Islam. And then to keep him in Islam when he's having doubts and realizing that what he was told is all false, they have to lie to him.
They know that he's not going to go back and check no book.
Yeah.
The only reason he heard it was because some dude in a restaurant told him. So they can say whatever they like. It's really sad.
Yeah. And the problem...
They joke about him leaving Islam too. They like joke about it. They're like, like Warner's like laughing about it. He's like, oh, that's why Sneako left Islam, because of you. And they're like telling jokes like...
Yeah, it's all funny, and then you've got the one serious guy, Sheikh Asim al-Hakim. I don't know why you guys are laughing. Like you guys just joke around about this stuff. You don't realize you're on some dangerous ground, because this is very serious stuff. And they throw him under the bus and throw respected Muslims under the bus. Even Abu Huraira's own son-in-law.
That was not
fun religion.
Yeah.
252. So you think Uthman was definitely lying about that, right? 'Cause I was trying to think, like, does he just maybe he just like look at his notes for these lectures and he doesn't actually like study this stuff? And maybe
he just recites it.
Yeah, he's just reciting it, or does he doesn't actually internalize it? He's just kind of like saying it, or do you think he's just straight up lying? Like I mean, I was kind of
but he made the whole thing up from A to Z.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the idea there, guys, is we saw Sheikh Uthman seem to know who this guy was, and seemed to know that he was the son-in-law of Abu Huraira. So he seemed to know exactly who this guy is, and that he's trustworthy and reliable according to Islamic standards. And therefore, when he says, "What? This guy never met Abu Huraira. That's a weak hadith," therefore he would be lying. But the other possibility is he's just like, when he's giving a talk on this guy, he's checking the notes that he downloaded from the internet or something like this, and says some things, but he doesn't really absorb the material. And so when the next issue comes up, he doesn't remember anything he said the last time. And so I'd have to grant that as a possibility. But since I know for a fact the guy is a compulsive liar, I would favor the lying explanation.
You know why I think he's lying? Because he remembered the name Haythami. Haythami was the guy who,
like, one of the oldest ones who recorded,
who was involved in that in checking that narration and that chain. So if his memory was good enough to check Haythami, he would have seen that he doesn't mention anything about Abu Huraira or Sa'id.
That's true.
So I think he made it up.
Yeah, I think so too. Yep, think that was just flat out lying, ladies and gentlemen. 2252 is proof the true believers were correcting the false Injil of John Paul and the Council of Nicaea. Yeah, the false gospel of the Council of Nicaea. Sneako's brilliant reasoning there. 2252, guys. That's one of the that's connected to the satanic verses. That's the one where all of God's messengers are periodically given false revelations by Satan, and that was meant to defend Muhammad after he delivered the satanic verses. And so, but think about that, right? Hey, Muhammad, you just delivered a revelation as if it's from Allah, and you promoted polytheism, told us we can pray to 3 pagan goddesses. Then you came back and said, the devil made me do it. Satan tricked me. And then when you get exposed for this, wait a minute, can we really trust this guy if he's delivering revelations from Satan and can't tell the difference? Then he receives a revelation saying, oh, Allah's messengers do this from time to time. So, so what did he do? Same thing, Sheikh Uthman. He's just throwing everyone else under the bus. But this is the Quran throwing all prophets under the bus and saying they all fall for this from time to time.
Yep.
Why does Sheikh have greater names than Allah, but Muhammad has, but less than Muhammad? Why does the Sheikh have greater names than Allah, but less than Muhammad? You guys know what this means?
Maybe Allah ibn Fibbin's names, like Ibn Fibbin.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. Uthman has more. Okay, he has more names than Allah.
Less than Muhammad.
That's funny. Yeah. Hey, we should keep a list, and as soon as Sheikh Uthman gets up to 99 names, then we should do something about that. The 99 names of Sheikh Uthman, and then explain them all. Oh, that'd be a good video. The 99 names of Sheikh Uthman ibn Farouk. That would be good. Sheikhs should have a shakeout. I choose cow. That'd be good if they had that. Sheikh Uthman sounds a lot like Momo. Ketchup and condiments be upon him. Yeah, as far as just duping people and saying what they want to hear to get them to remain in your religion. Sounds exactly like him. Dizzle, why they choose Times Square for Salat? Because they're trying to send a message. They're sending a message to people. Hey, look, we're taking over. Look how strong we are. And they're sending a message to fellow Muslims. Look how weak everyone is. We can just come down here and plop down in the middle of everyone. We can do whatever we want. They're not going to stand up or question or object in any way.
Yep.
Love you, David. Well, I'm glad you do. Sam says, Apostolic Prince is folding Muslims on TikTok. There is not free will in Islam, and Allah is contingent on Muhammad if you say there is free will.
Nice.
Yeah, there are all sorts of issues on that one. What is that?
What's up?
I read that one right. Oh, okay. Oh, no, there's two. I saw free will again. I was like, did I just repeat that one? There is no free will in Islam. To say so makes Allah contingent. Allah's divine speech allows for special pleading for Muhammad. As Aisha says, your Lord hastens in fulfilling your wishes and desires.
Yeah.
That's why I like Aisha, that she pointed that out. Welcome to Islamic Whack-A-Mole, the art of trying to obscure parts of Islam by throwing narrators under the bus without accidentally destroying any reliability of all their other sources. Yeah, I mean, that is the big takeaway. You know, it'd be fun, a little side project, is to go and find all the hadiths narrated
literally hundreds
by that tag team and say, see, all these, just go through Sahih al-Bukhari and Sahih Muslim and say, all these hadiths are actually weak according to Sheikh Uthman ibn Farouk. That'd be a fun little video. Here are all the hadiths in Sahih al-Bukhari and Sahih Muslim that are actually weak according to Sheikh Uthman ibn Farouk, and watch him get in trouble for casting doubt upon him.
It's actually doable too, because the way that it's set up on Sunnah.com for like the search, if you just like type in exactly, I think I did do the keyword search and I got like almost 200 hits.
Yeah, and they're all sahih.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Because of those golden jewels.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and by the way, guys, that would be very easy video to make. I mean, since you know how to search for it and stuff, just play what Sheikh Uthman just said and said, hey, here's the connection that he said. This guy never met this guy, but here's how many hadiths are narrated from this guy to this guy. Therefore, all of these hadiths in Sahih al-Bukhari and Sahih Muslim are weak according to him, and therefore the whole collection is in doubt.
We should do that.
Yeah, we'll do a short video.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. But that would be the thing that would be most likely for him to get in trouble. Lying, they don't care about. If you're causing massive doubts about multiple, large number of hadiths in Sahih al-Bukhari and Sahih Muslim, that they might have a problem with. This guy's now casting doubt upon our most reliable sources.
Yeah, you just like keep playing the clip where he's like, I got a master's in hadith, and it's like, this is like, you're going to know these guys like your first week in the class. Like this is like your the guy who narrates the most hadith, and then the most authentic guy who narrates from him. It's like,
there's no way he's got a master's in hadith, because not even like the students of knowledge make that mistake, because these people are so central to Islam.
Yeah,
Abu Hurairah and who narrates from him.
Assim doesn't lie because he doesn't need to. If you ask Uthman, who lives in Cali, he has to sweeten it. Uthman will tell the truth when they are the majority. Yeah. If he ever takes over and takes control, then he can say exactly what he means. But until then, it's lie, 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 lie. It's basically lie, 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 lie until you dupe enough people to where you can actually take over. And then now you guys can't question anything I say. So shut up.
You know, it's kind of funny because he was actually trying to make that point, but about himself, and he was like, "Look, I don't sugarcoat things. Okay, there are certain things about certain races that you can call them." So he's like, Muhammad did say good things about different races, but he just didn't say this. He's like, he said, this about the Egyptians. He said this about the people of the Levant. This about, he listed all these things, but he was like, but this part isn't authentic. He was like, guys, you know me, I don't sugarcoat things. He's like, there are certain traits of people that, like, I know, like, in the woke world, you can't say, like, this particular ethnic group or race is better at this than others. Then it's like I know that's not. So he's trying to, like, paint this image that, like, you can trust me, guys. Like, I'm this reliable guy. Like, I will go against the grain, and I will, like, I don't care what other people have to say about me. I'm going to say something that's, like, controversial. But he just completely lied. So it's like he completely lies. And then he tries to, like, psychologically enforce to the people, you can trust me because I don't do that. I don't sugarcoat things.
But he does.
Yeah.
And lies a lot.
Yep.
And the more you lie, the more popular you will become.
In Islam, yeah. Yep. That's right.
You guys should totally make formal debate edits of Dawa Guy videos arguing with themselves from 5 years ago. Oh, yeah, that would be funny.
Like Ali Dawa with the scientific miracles.
Yeah.
And then saying they're debunked.
You do that with Yasser Qadi, and Fareed actually agreed with you that he was lying. He was like, yeah, he's lying.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, so guys, this was some years ago, but I made Sheikh Uthman, I made Sheikh Yasser Qadi debate Sheikh Yasser Qadi on whether the Quran has been perfectly preserved. And it was just, I took clips from him speaking to different audiences because he would tell one audience, perfect preservation right down to the letter from the time of Uthman. And then he would tell different audience, yeah, of course we got all these differences, that are in different Qurans today and so on. And so he was destroying himself. But yeah, you could do that with any of these guys. You can go back 5 or 10 years and they're all saying completely different things back then.
Yeah. Yeah, it seems like Uthman changed his position on, like, the age of Aisha in that discussion with Sneako there. That was another topic that came up, was the age of Aisha. And Uthman used to hold a position that, like, yeah, it's an authentic hadith, but Aisha didn't really know her age. Like, she said that she was 6 or she was 7 when they first got married, and then 9 when they consummated. She said that, but was she really that age? So he kind of changed position on that now with Ali Dawa. He kind of switched up. He's trying to sound more orthodox now because I think he's in this like Dawa Avengers group now, and he can't really, especially with Fareed in there. Fareed's in the group too, and yeah.
And to be fair to his credit, I think a lot of Fareed's claims are stupid and so on, but I believe he takes his stuff way more seriously than someone like Sheikh Uthman. I don't believe Fareed is just a grifter. I think he takes it seriously, and it's not just him trying to use Islam to get what he wants out of life. And so, he can feel free to lie and do whatever he wants. So to his credit, I think he is sincere. But yeah, that's what I mean. Sheikh Uthman is saying all this stuff. Going to be hard to be around some Muslims who would have a problem with throwing throwing all these hadith guys under the bus. Today, Muslims worship Adolf Hitler. Yeah. Am I the only one who ever noticed? It seems obvious to me that Adolf Hitler sounds like Adolf Hitler, so I posted that, but I don't know if anyone's ever... I would assume someone has to notice that.
I never heard that until now.
Well, because you're used to the Arabic pronunciation where it's a little...
Okay. It does sound like it, yeah.
Yeah. We were talking about this, how different, like, countries, like, they celebrated this on different days. Like, for example, Saudi Arabia did yesterday, and Jordan did today, and, like, Egypt did today, and we were talking about how, like, countries that, like, border each other, like Lebanon, for example, Palestinian territories, and then, like, Jordan and Egypt and stuff, they had different dates on when this is, because they're supposed to do like they're supposed to catch the crescent moon, and that's gonna that marks the end of Ramadan, the crescent moon. So who they spot that, and it's like, oh, that's the end of it. And if they don't see it though, then it goes on to the next day to like the
30th day.
30, yeah. So so these countries that are like literally bordering each other, they're like getting different sightings of the moon. So if Islam is true, and like, Muhammad taught that, you're not supposed to be feasting during the daytime on Ramadan, and if you're fasting during a feast day, well, that's wrong too. But yet they're celebrating these days on different days. So some days, like half the Muslim world is fasting and the other one's feasting, and they would both be wrong if the other is right. So
yeah, it's actually haram to eat. It's haram to fast on Eid day, and it's haram to eat on a fast day. So if you get it wrong, you're committing a forbidden thing.
Yeah. So like they're someone has to be right, someone has to be wrong. Like one of them is right, one of them is wrong. They can't both be right.
Mm-hmm.
So,
hey, give us the perfect Arabic pronunciation of Eid al-Fitr.
Eid al-Fitr.
Ah, yeah.
So
if
like
you do it
the
like that,
beginning letter is
if you do it the Fitr, then
Yeah.
and
But-
the beginning it's like a little like the ah sound, like
Yeah.
ayin.
But it does sound very much like it.
Yeah, it does.
it has the same cadence to it.
Yeah.
Let's see. Off topic, as an archaeologist, how pyramid discovery was reported looks sus, especially on the tale of West Huff Win. Yeah, I haven't been following any of that. I know a couple of people have posted videos on it, so I would know enough to comment on the. I assume you're talking about finding the people saying there were all these chambers underneath pyramid or something like that. But yeah, I haven't followed them. I commented on Sheikh Uthman lying about a hate crime and adultery. Someone actually replied, "Who cares?" That is true. But
Yeah. That's literally what they say.
Wow.
They're like, yeah, we don't care.
we don't care. Whatever helps him spread his lies is good. It's good. Keep in mind, guys, in the mind of the Dawah guys, because we're all sitting there going, why would you lie for your religion? Keep in mind they're thinking, you're ultimately going to Jannah if you believe their lies, right? It's like, hey, we can lie and make up all these things. So think about this. If they make up something about scientific miracles and they make up something about perfect preservation of the Quran, they keep making things up. We would think, gosh, that's evil. You're making up all these lies. You're lying for your religion. But they're thinking, if we tell you a bunch of lies, but the result is you spend eternity deflowering virgins in paradise, like, have we harmed you? Have we done something wrong to you? No, we actually helped you with our lies. And if someone like Sneako is not going to believe in Islam, if we tell him the truth, then what are we going to do? We're just going to let him go to hell for rejecting Islam? No, you lie to him, get him to become a Muslim, and it's for his good. It's for his good.
Yeah.
What I don't get is this double standard, having been a Muslim before and now a Christian. If a Christian fails or sins, it would never fly. You never find another Christian saying, who cares?
Right.
Like, why is it a different reality on this side?
Yeah.
Wild stuff.
Exactly.
You see Paul Williams using ChatGPT to lie? No, I haven't been paying attention to Paul Williams, but that would not surprise me. It's just like the new Dawah trick.
Yeah.
He's doing a Lily J.
Yeah, that's what they're doing, like learning from Lily J, and they're like, okay, yeah, it works for her, so why don't we try it?
Do you know the Orthodox Muslim? No, not familiar. Looks like he has reach. Is he someone we should worry about? Also, you know anything about the two witnesses in Revelation 11? No, not really. I mean, as far as like end time stuff, I've never really studied it. Beyond Jesus wins, that's about my level of. Keep in mind, not saying it's not important or something like that. It's just got to focus on what you're doing. Orthodox Muslim? Nope, not familiar.
Yeah, he's like a TikTok guy, and he's the one who exposed Central for his Dawah script. That's the guy.
Libiano.
Yeah, that's Libiano. Yeah, he was the one that was supposed to be included in Central's Discord server, where he's like, "Hey guys, pay for this, and you're gonna get Libiano / Orthodox Muslims notes for his debates and all this stuff." And he was the one that ended up exposing it, and he's the one who gave us all the ammunition against Central that he's like this big liar, big scammer.
He was one of our clips that were shipped.
Yeah, clipped and shipped. Yeah, clipped and shipped. So he's not at all a threat. He's actually he works in our favor a lot of the time.
He actually sees the danger in Islamic dilemma, and he tries to say that actually God may have been a father Islamically, Allah.
Oh yeah, they caused a huge rift on the TikTok Muslims, And the Muslims on one side who say that Allah was called Father at one point, the other Muslims are dubbing them the Fatherites.
Whoa.
Yeah, and so they've caused a huge war over that, and he's like the one. So no, he's not a threat at all. He's actually working in our favor in many ways.
Yeah, we like that guy.
I got to get on TikTok. There's too much action going on over there. Everyone shows me all this awesome stuff that's happening on TikTok. But yeah, so, but Central Dawa. I mean, it's like another example. There's that discussion where they're all having this big argument, and then they start. Well, you send. I won't say the actual, but basically penis pics to various ladies, and you know, and they're like, well, you do it too. It's like, yeah, but I'm not pretending that I don't. And they're like this is what your Dawa guys are all talking about. Guys, can you even imagine like a bunch of us Christians getting together and we're live and we're sitting here. Well, yes, but you were sending naked pics to these girls on TikTok. Well, you do it too. Yeah, but I'm not presenting myself as this and that. It's like. It's just normal. It's just normal for these guys.
It's crazy.
Yeah, they get away with everything. we would never get away with it.
Yeah. And shout out to all the people who clip and ship things. Those are the guys who record, and because those TikTok discussions are not recorded usually. Usually it's people who are like screen recording. And so those guys are amazing. They catch all these like great content.
we got some of those clips saved.
Nice. Jesus is King. Thank you for all of your work, guys. God protect us all. What is the Injil? That's a good question. Love that. Love everyone who's spreading that. Guys, if you don't know what we're talking about with what's the Injil, we say, what's the Injil? Muslims have no answer. Or you can ask 10 different Muslims and they'll give you 10 different answers and so on. But it's funny because the Quran orders us to judge by the Injil, but Muslims say we don't have the Injil. So it's important. Hey, your God is telling us to judge by the Injil. See, he's affirming our book. And they go, no, that's not the Injil. And then, okay, well, what is it then? If you're saying it's not this, then what is it? Because your God commands us to judge by it and says we're in trouble. We're going to hell if we don't judge by it. What is it then? Tell us. If you're saying this is not it, then you must know what it is because you're saying this is not it. So what is it? And so, good question to learn how to ask. Which sheikh is the better Muslim? Ooh, it's kind of different, right? Like,
great question.
Yeah, like Sheikh Uthman, he's lying and stuff like that. That's perfectly Islamic. Sheikh Asim al-Hakim, he's like, no, this is the way it is, and he doesn't have to lie for it. So, who's the better Muslim? Guess what? They both are in different contexts. In an Orthodox Muslim context, Saudi Arabia, where Muslims have control, Sheikh Asim al-Hakim is correct. Now you can just say it, and if you doubt, we're going to call you a kafir, and we're going to do something to you. So he's right in that context. Sheikh Uthman is in the context of the kuffar, where war is deceit, and they're at war with everybody, and war is deceit. So you're constantly lying to everyone to get your way. So guess what? They're both correct in completely different contexts.
That's right. Great answer. Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah.
There is no mix-up. The prophet can't fix up. Musnad Umar, I saw the messenger of Allah doing wudu after relieving himself and wiping over his leather slippers, then praying, and wiped over the leather straps. The Muslim I am debating says 2 Thessalonians 2 Thessalonians 2:11 makes God sound like a liar, like Allah. How would you respond?
Yeah.
Go ahead. Then I'll toss my thoughts in. Go ahead.
Okay. I mean, the context is pretty clear that these are people who are like constantly rejecting the truth, constantly rejecting it, constantly rejecting it. It's kind of like Pharaoh.
That's exactly what I was thinking. Is exactly like Pharaoh.
Yeah, it's exactly like Pharaoh. It's like if you read the account of what happened to Pharaoh, you'll see that Pharaoh hardened his heart multiple times. Yeah, and God just like, okay, that's the direction you're going. All right. And so
just pause right there. So guys, the story of Pharaoh, God sends Moses and Aaron to Pharaoh and stuff, saying, "Hey, let my people go," and so on. And you get all these miraculous signs, and it would say Pharaoh hardened his heart. Right? He sees what's going on, but he hardens his heart. He's stubborn. He's rebellious. And so the passages say Pharaoh hardened his heart. Pharaoh hardened his heart. Pharaoh hardened his heart. And all of a sudden, it switches to the Lord hardened Pharaoh's heart. Yeah. In other words, it's, hey, you're locked into rebellion. Fine. There comes a point where God is going to say, okay, now you're sticking with that. You're sticking with that. So this is God's judgment on people. But yeah, go ahead.
And there's 3 different Hebrew words that are used that are usually all translated as harden in English. But one of the words, chazak, which means to strengthen, it's just like, yeah, God is like strengthening. He's giving, all right, this is what you want to do. Okay, more power to you. Like that's that kind of same kind of thing. So multiple words are used, and if you look at, there's nuances, to them, but that's a lot of the time that's what's going on. It's God strengthening the decision of Pharaoh. He wants to go his way, so God, okay, go your way. So like in verse 10 in 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, verse 10, it says that they did not receive the love of the truth that they might be saved. So they didn't receive the love of the truth, right? And then it says, and for that reason, God will send them into a strong delusion that they should believe a lie.
Did you guys catch that? Did you guys catch that? Everyone pay attention to what it actually says. They perish because they refused to love the truth and so be saved. For this reason, God sends them a powerful delusion so that they will believe the lie. So it's, hey, we refuse to believe the truth, and God sends them a powerful delusion. How? Well, you see, he lets Satan do his thing. He lets Satan do his thing. And I would just say, guys, look at the world you're in right now. So I'm not saying this is referring to, I'm not saying this is the end times right now or anything like that. I'm saying this happens, right? You have people turn away from God, and what happens? They seem to start losing their minds, right? And it's like, okay, I'm not protecting you from delusion and so on anymore. Fine. You want to go astray. You want to rebel. Here's some delusions, and just look at how insanely delusional. In other words, if you look at, let's say, Western leaders going, we can't get enough of Islam. We need more Islam. It's so great. You wonder, how can you be this insanely stupid? Or in, Queers for Palestine and stuff. Yes, we love Islam. It's the greatest thing ever. These guys would kill all of you. What are you doing? To me, it looks like a spiritual issue. Like, I can't even believe that people in the West can be this insane and stupid, thinking that Islam is this great thing and you just can't get enough of it. You're looking at all the consequences, and it seems like a spiritual issue. And it's what? You got people turning away from God, and then all of a sudden they get all these delusions. And it's like, that looks like what happens. Now, so what would the problem be if someone says, I don't care about God, I'm going to go in my own way. I don't want any of that stuff. I don't want any of that stuff from God. Don't care about Christianity. Don't care about the gospel. I reject all of that nonsense. And then what? God should, what? What's he supposed to do? They're not supposed to be delusional? They're not supposed to have a delusion? Like what? God is supposed to give them what? The truth? They rejected the truth. Are you? Yeah. So anyway, I don't. I have a couple more thoughts on this, but anything you guys wanted to add?
If you notice, the delusion in the Bible is for the ones who hate the truth, the unbelievers.
Right.
The deception in Islam is for the believers.
Even Muhammad.
Like in Surah 7, verse 99, it says, do they feel secure from Allah's makr, Allah's deception? None should feel secure from Allah's deception except the people who are the losers. So if you're a believer...
Repeat that.
None should feel secure from Allah's devising or Allah's deception, Allah's makr, except the losers.
You guys catch that? And the bad people are the ones who should feel safe from Allah's deception. It's believers who understand that they need to be afraid of Allah's deception. Why? If you look, Surah 4, verse 157, at least according to the most common Muslim interpretation, is Allah tricked and deceived people into believing that Jesus died by crucifixion, even though he didn't. And so, but guess what? We know that Jesus' followers came to believe that he died by crucifixion, and literally billions of Christians came to believe that he died by crucifixion, and billions of non-Christians believe Jesus died by crucifixion. All of these billions of people deceived by Allah. But you've got Jesus' own followers who were deceived by this. These, according to the Quran, were devout Muslims. Devout Muslims were duped into believing that Jesus died on the cross by Allah. Who got deceived? Even believers were deceived. And you even see this in Surah 8, where Allah says the reason he tricked the believers through Muhammad's dream into believing that they could, there weren't going to be a lot of people. He did this because he knew that if they knew how many people were approaching in this army, they'd be scared. They'd be a bunch of cowards and they wouldn't go out and fight, even though Muhammad's telling them to go out and fight. So Allah gives Muhammad a dream. This is according to the Quran, guys. Allah gives Muhammad a dream saying, and in his dream, it's only a few people who are showing up. And it's, we totally outnumber them. We can fight. So he rallies up everyone. Oh, everyone, I've received a revelation. And in my revelation, there's only a few people showing up to fight us. We will conquer them easily. They go out, they're outnumbered 3-1. They come back. Why did you get your dream saying there's only a few people there? And it's, Allah says he had to deceive you. He had to deceive you because he knew you wouldn't go out and fight. So Allah lied to you to get you to do what he wants. Keep in mind, this is Allah. So Sheikh Uthman does what? Lies to get what he wants. What? Who's his example? Allah, the best of deceivers. And if everyone doesn't understand what an issue this was in early Islam, Abu Bakr, Muhammad's closest companion, his father-in-law, the first of the rightly guided caliphs, said, and he was one of, I think, 25 people who were guaranteed paradise by Muhammad. But Abu Bakr was guaranteed paradise by Muhammad. Muhammad said, hey, this guy is guaranteed. I know for a fact this guy's going to Jannah. And even after that, Abu Bakr said, if I had 1 foot in paradise, I would still fear Allah's deception. Yeah. Why? It's the believers who are terrified of Allah's deception. So, Pendragon, you've got the God of the Bible. And by the way, I think the best story about that is with Micaiah in the Old Testament when they have all the false prophets, and the false prophets are saying, yes, go up and you'll be victorious. And then they say, hey, is there a prophet of the Lord here? And they bring in the prophet of the Lord, and Micaiah also says, yes, go up and be victorious. And the king says, come on, quit lying to me. I know you always tell me something bad. He says, yes, you're all going to go up there and die. That's what's going to happen. But think about this. In that passage, it's a deceptive spirit who says, I'll go and mislead them. What does God do? He sends a true prophet to tell what's actually going to happen and gives them the option. What are you going to believe? You're going to believe the ones who are lying to you by a lying spirit, or are you going to believe the true prophet of Yahweh? And they choose to believe the false prophets. And so that's what you have in the Bible. People choosing to reject the truth and then deciding to believe in a lie. And then God says, all right, now you're going with that. You've rejected the truth. Now go with it. So if your buddy's telling you these are the same thing, they're the exact opposites. They're the exact opposites. You guys have anything else on that?
Yeah, I mean, you never have an example in the Bible where someone is like crying out for mercy, repenting, and God's like, oh, you're going to mislead this. No, it never happens. God's like, he never misleads anyone who's repentant, seeking for mercy, anything like that. The only time you ever see this is like you just said, is in a time when people would rather believe a lie. They choose the lie over God. Like, Romans 1, 18-32. They exchanged the truth of God for a lie. They did that. And so you never have an example where someone's begging out for mercy, crying out for mercy, and then God turns them away or deceives them. But in Islam, like we said, chapter 8 of the Quran, verses 43, 44, say that actually, no, believers are even deceived. And if you don't know that Allah can deceive you, then you're actually a loser. You have to know that Allah can deceive you. And it's just a complete world of difference. And I also think it ties into like the predestination in Islam as well, because you don't even have a sense of security in salvation, because it says that Allah could have written for you that you're going to go to heaven and you're going to be doing all the works of the people of hell, and then you're going to on the end of times he's going to like switch it and you're going to go to heaven. Or if you do all the good works and you're only like one arm's length away from going to heaven, but Allah wrote for you that you're going to go to hell, So there's even deception in that way too, because if Islam is like this works-based kind of thing, which there's contradictions on that, but it definitely teaches like a fatalism that you don't have any assurances at all, and Allah can just flip the switch on you, even if you're very faithful and very religious. He can just say, oh, you know what? You're going to go to hell anyway. That's what I chose for you.
So, hope that helps, Pendragon. Let's see. I got 99 names, but honest Muslim ain't one. Jake C. Well, that's definitely true for Sheikh Uthman.
Sheikh C. It's Sheikh C.
Jake C. Arab and Ajam is a well-established concept in Islam.
Yeah. The Arab and the foreigner. Yeah.
Do you see Islam falling or evolving in your lifetime? Falling.
Yep.
Yep.
You guys agree on that?
Yep. Definitely.
Everyone watching, I know it's what? It's got all these problems. All this stuff about criticizing Islam is brand new. It's within our lifetimes. It's our generation. We're the first generation that has this open access to their sources and then the ability to expose it everywhere. What's been the result over the past 20 years? The avalanche of apostasy, which is accelerating. So if we're just getting started and this is already the case, what do you think things are like 10 years from now? Sheikh Shahada, lie, Allah, Allah. You guys get it? It's the Sheikh Shahada. The Sheikh's Shahada. Lie, Allah. That's a good one.
The guy's butchering the language.
That's
It sounds great.
Lying, yeah. That's
And the other one is Hitler.
The lying Shahada. Yeah.
Nearly finished with my videos commenting on Surat Al-Fatiha. Nice. It's turned into a far longer series than I anticipated. For I'm essentially reacting to Ibn Kathir more than the Quran itself. Oh yeah, it's funny. I mean, you got 7 verses of Al-Fatiha and like entire volumes of commentaries on it.
Yep.
Sunnis and Shias fighting over Eid day here. Shia right? No, why would they fight? Doesn't make any sense.
Also, Sunnis and Sunnis.
Yeah,
are
even
fighting.
Sunnis are even fighting themselves on
Sunnis
it.
and- yeah, they're saying that instead of seeing the moon, Saudi saw Venus, the planet, and thought it was the end of Ramadan.
Yeah, they're like, this is a conspiracy theory. They just want you to eat on Ramadan, and so they're like, yeah.
They don't even go by the astrological and the telescope pictures. They just
The Jews covered up the sun, make you think it's dark to get you to break your fast. The Jews changed the orbit of the earth.
Just a bunch of old men in the desert just trying to look. They don't even have binoculars or anything.
Just the naked eye. They're just like looking.
They're just looking
into
up. Do you see it? Do you see the moon? I don't see it.
When you'll are done. When you'll are done. Who is this? Who is this barely literate? He's like Muhammad. Oh, it's inspiring philosophy. I guess we can't take him seriously anymore. But he says, when you'll are done, we are about to go live to debate gospel reliability. Send your followers over. Guys, if you're interested in a debate on gospel reliability, then as soon as we're done here, go over to IP's channel. Tony says, if Paul had a jinn commanding him for good and went around preaching the gospel with a 6-year-old bride and his robe full of semen, imagine. Yeah, don't think that would have worked out very well. But, you know, if that had been Paul and he'd been in 7th century Arabia, it might have worked out. Different audience. Deception of Allah versus Yahweh could be an amazing video. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Matter of fact, that is an important topic. So that might be video-wise. Luffy Singh, and then you are 6. Muhammad Hijab. That is correct. Scooby say, ruh-roh, Sneako, without lies. Without lies. That's correct. And then when is the avalanche of apostasy going to happen? The avalanche of apostasy has already started. It's not as bad as it's going to get. But yeah, so what you have, Luffy, is the apostasy rate of the younger generation basically went from around 0% to 24% in about 15 to 20 years. So if you're Muslims, you're looking at that and the apostasy rate's going like that, you're going, uh-oh. If we don't do something to stop this, what's going to happen? Well, it's going to keep going up, 30%, 40%, and so on. And so you understand you are in emergency panic mode right now if you're a Muslim leader. And so what do? You have to find some way of winning a bunch of new Muslims. And what do? Well, you get people like Sneako and Andrew Tate and Lily J who have a bunch of ignorant followers, and you try to win a bunch of new converts. So that's where we're at right now. The good thing is they have no plan B if this doesn't work. There's nothing else. Just subjugating the world through armies didn't, they eventually were too weak to continue that. And so they switched to da'wah, and now that's falling apart. And so they're getting more and more desperate because the lies are being exposed, and there's nothing else after this. Nothing else. And finally, Oh, okay. This is a different. I was thinking this is a different shahada here. La ilaha il Isa Muhammad Rasul Diha. Is that the new shahada? All right. And any final thoughts or anything you guys got coming up?
Yeah, we're really happy about the Islamic Dilemma. If you guys want to check us out on Rumble, we are active on Rumble multiple days. Multiple days a week. Join us on there. We also try to stream on X as well. So yeah, we're going to be looking into different things we've been studying from the Islamic Dilemma. We want to share that with you guys. We're really excited to get some of this information, and we're just excited about the project and everything. And there's a lot of good things that are going to come out of this.
All right, and guys, give me just a couple of seconds here. Where is it? Follow Jai and DOC on Rumble. For some reason, this computer is giving me trouble. On Rumble.
Yeah.
All right, guys, you might need to refresh, but I just added a link to Giant DOC's channel on Rumble. So, yep, definitely want to subscribe there. And hang on, came up with a couple more popped up at the last second. Grifting is as old as human civilization. So how come only now they're jumping on Islam, or is it just new in the West or online? No, grifters, manipulators, scam artists, and so on, they look for what are called soft targets. You have hard targets. These are people who are hard to manipulate. If you try to tell them something that there's something off, they will look it up and so on. There are people who are hard to manipulate, and there are people who are easy to manipulate. There are people who are gullible. If you're a manipulator, a grifter, a con artist, you're looking for people who are going to fall for it. And so if you're a real grifter, you see there is an entire, by the way, it's connected to the avalanche of apostasy. You've got the avalanche of apostasy. They understand there's a problem, and they see the apostasy rates increasing, and they're like, we have to do something. And then what happens? We can help you. Chat GPT, can you answer this? Right? Sheikh Uthman, Sneako. They can sense it. That's what that's the gift that grifters have. They can spot soft targets. Now, lots of times it will be one person and that they realize they can take advantage of. They've hit the jackpot with the Ummah in a state of panic. So Lily J, Tate, Sneako, these are not the first. They're not going to be the last. You're going to see more. You're going to see more of the grift because it's the biggest. If you got no scruples, there is an entire community out there that will shower you with money and praise if you just start saying positive things about their religion. Attention, followers, all that stuff. It's just there. It's waiting to be taken advantage of.
There's a ton of those on TikTok, by the way. Tons of those. They're just like,
you mean grifters?
Yeah. There's white guy reads the Quran for the first time, and then like the next 10 of his videos are about this is the best verse that I read, and like this is a new as a Christian, this is what I thought of it, and it's like they're not really Christians, they're not really anything, they're just trying to grift, and they take advantage of the Muslims and they give them the views that they want, they give them exactly what the attention that they want, and ultimately it translates into ad revenue, money, and etc. So they making bank off the Muslims.
That's what they do.
That's what they do.
The apostasy rate, you see, spaghetti. Yes, that's true. Father Zechariah helped millions of Arab speakers leave Islam for the past 30 years. He's now 93 PhDs. We love you, Father Zechariah Boutros. Yeah, matter of fact, that was one of the important moments as far as like I learned my approach just by trial and error, talking to people and stuff, and what do Muslims actually pay attention to and stuff like that. But back then, if you go back 20 years, Christian churches were training, don't ever criticize Muhammad or the Quran. Don't ever do that. Never, 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 never criticize Muhammad or the Quran. Only preach the gospel to a Muslim. That's what you do. That's what was being preached. And I had learned by experience, they're not taking the gospel seriously, and they think they've got 100% certainty, as Sheikh Assim would say. They've got complete certainty in their religion, so why are they going to listen to anything you're saying? And so I knew from experience, and by the way, this was after Nabil converted, and me and Nabil discussed all kinds of issues for 4 years. It wasn't until after he saw his arguments for Islam wrecked and Muhammad exposed and the Quran exposed, that's when he started taking an alternative seriously. So I'm sitting there thinking, what Christian churches are teaching is like, it's completely wrong. And anyway, right after the thing happened in Dearborn, where we got attacked in 2009, they slapped us around a little bit. Well, they slapped Nabil around a little bit. But right after that happened, we were out in California for a conference, and Zachariah Boutros was there. And they put me and Nabil up on stage, even though almost no one knew who we were. But they put me and Nabil up on stage to talk about things. And that's when Zachariah Boutros was talking, and he goes, Muslims, he starts talking, he goes, Muslims are asleep. You have to wake them up. How do you wake them up? You wake them up with a short, sharp shock.
Yep.
And he goes like this. He goes, Puh! And it's like, that's how you have to wake them up. But then he goes through like the points that he likes to bring up to Muslims to wake them up about their religion and so on. And I was like, yes, but so that was him. And then there was Brother Rashid who was doing it back then. It's like, who actually understands the mindset? Oh, it's the people who come from that part of the world. They understand how Muslims think. And they're saying one thing. They're saying you blast away at Muhammad and the Quran. And you had people from the West who've been trained to not hurt anyone's feelings. And they're saying, oh, never hurt anyone's feelings by criticizing Muhammad and the Quran. And it's like, gosh, fortunately, those days seem to be mostly gone. The Jews tried to sabotage Eid al-Fitr. Yes, that's what they do. I challenge you to debate topic. Is Ramadan true fasting? I can debate you once I get Lily J to marry me. This is post-Ramadan Abdullah, and he's put on some serious poundage. Oh. I lost negative 40 kilos this Ramadan, which means he gained 40 kilos. It's true fasting. Yes, I accept your challenge. This will be fun. All right, everyone. Thanks to Jai and DOC for joining us to actually help clarify everything that was going on, because I didn't understand what Sneako was talking about, and now we've got it all down, and everything that happens seems to help expose dawah more and more. But guys, at the end of the day, everyone has to be going out there and relentlessly going after this. And if you don't, I mentioned that Muslims understand they're in a race right now against the avalanche of apostasy. They have to win enough people to where they can actually seize control and impose Islamic law so that you can be like Sheikh Asim al-Hakim. Shut up, don't ask questions. They want to get to that stage. But in the meantime, they have to, the leaders have to be lying and deceiving people and so on. So this is actually like D-Day level civilization issues are on the line here, and you've got work to do. So make sure you do it. And for everyone out there, again, I would recommend learning the Islamic dilemma really, really well. And we will be putting out all kinds of content for you on that topic. So stay tuned, learn the material, share the material, and make sure we win the race here. Catch y'all next time.